own money, or that he's not very intelligent, that he really
Hold on, Kitty. This isn't supposed to be a roast of John Kitover. It's supposed to be a roast of Brad Stauffenberg.
I've heard so many stupid things that people have said about you that I know without a doubt there's a bit of truth in it, sure. But for the most part, I would come straight to the horse's mouth and ask you to your face if this is the truth. And so if Brad says that stupid stuff about you, unless it's like harmful to you or your family, then you're only harming your own. If you want to make it through litigation, then litigation. You're only hurting your own lawsuit, and you're definitely only hurting your own character by playing into his stupidity. Let him be Brad. Brad acts like a dickhead sometimes. Really pissed me off when you're on I think
I'm gonna restart this live.
Veterans Day or something like that, because he was belligerent. But I knew he was belligerently drunk, and I've been like that on Clubhouse too. So all I'm saying is that let him take the L by being the asshole. Okay, you don't have to sit there and take it to a place where it's going to distract people.
Kitty, this is the great thing about Kitty. When
what you're doing politically, and that's where I want to put my focus and interest on it.
Politically speaking, this ties into my campaign. He will be the first lawsuit against somebody that slanders, libels, and defames me. He's the first. So you'll have to listen to the actual evidence and the 2 days of slander and libel against me, as well as the death threats against Jane and many other young women on this app. So until you actually hear him using vulgarity and profanity and sociopathic death threats, as well as defaming me, I would just say, hold your opinions until you actually hear the videos.
That's fair. And Brad, if you listen to this replay, if that's really where you go, especially you can say what you want to say to John, but to a woman, I mean, I don't ever bring up, and I think it's sad and it's horrible about his wife. I would never bring up that, especially her as a woman, and then to put her down and to criticize her and wish harm on her. The fact that you would do that, Brad, if you listen to this, it's not just an injustice of your personal character, but it shows like a weakness in everything that is good that you do stand up for. So don't. Just stop. I don't care what the reasoning was, where John pushed you over the edge, because I know that he can be a smart ass sometimes. Just don't.
I guess I'm stirring the pot. You know what? Lord might be right. I guess I am kind of stirring the pot with this, but nonetheless, I'm a little upset. So, maybe this is just me doing what everybody else does on this stupid app, which is emotional processing.
I wish Lord would talk about me doing God's work right now by taking you down from you were at 11. Or more of 7.5 right now. They're still scaring me just a little bit. I'm just kidding.
Okay, we're going to invite Lord back up to continue the roast of John Kitover. Go ahead, Lord.
I'm in my 20s. It's like, you tell me you're running for Congress. I think about the way that you move, the things that I'm hearing coming out of your mouth sound presidential, sound.
It's not about running for president, dude.
Respectfully,
bro. I'm not running for president, bro. Respectfully, I'm running for Congress, Lord.
Respectfully, you sound like a bitch. And it's like somebody that I want to run for Congress is somebody that I want to be a solid fucking man, a solid grown man, adult doesn't go around clubhouse talking like a little bitch. You know what I'm saying? An adult.
No. Before John gets to go. Now you've awoken the dragon.
Stop dragging me and telling me some weird shit.
Hold up, John. Don't let me have this one. So, hey, Lord, you've made it very, very evident before you ever even had to give your age exactly what mental fortitude that you're using in order to use these fancy words about someone that you obviously probably, I don't even know how long you've been on Clubhouse, or if you know how to navigate, to tie your own shoes each day. But listen. I would rather trust someone that says grab her by the pussy than I would someone like Joe Biden. And if that's not diplomatic enough for you, if that doesn't work for you, Lord, someone who has to literally talk about overcompensating. Someone, Lord, I mean, like I would hold more stock and more masculinity in someone that can actually call themselves by a name than something like Lord. It's like, really, what are you trying to do here? Grow the fuck up. Tell your mom you're sorry for whatever it was that you did last week. You want to come home and that your little prodigal son.
Nobody can respect that.
Yes, but the thing is that they respect you even less. By what you're saying, they respect you far less.
Never will ever push for anybody like this to be a leader. Because you're a bitch.
So
you come off as
what jurisdiction? Well, first of all, what state do you live in? I don't even care what affiliation you are, right or left, blue or red. Yeah, of course, he's a bit. I didn't mean to say that. I'm sorry. I didn't. I stopped myself. But he was calling you the B word, John, and I don't think that you're a bitch. But he did kind of talk like.
Well, see, Kitty, this is where projection comes into play. Where if somebody casts vulgar dispersions against you, generally that shows their lack of self confidence. Because if your claim is that I'm a bitch and I have no self confidence, but you're coming here at 1 a.m. to tell me that I'm a bitch and have no self-confidence. Is it really me or is it you? So that's the thing about projection, where especially when you cast dispersions on somebody, is it really worth your time to cast a dispersion on somebody and, slander them? It's a you problem. So maybe that has something to do with Brad Stauffenberger as well. Maybe we've learned something here this evening.
And the room I was just in, too. I mean, honestly, that's key lesson for me, and I wouldn't have came in here so red hot. I think so, for sure. And if that little bitch happens to understand, if you listen to the replays on this, we don't care about your vote. But for everybody else that wants to help, all proceeds to, well, the link will be somewhere where you can find. I don't have it on hand.
And thank you for your campaign contribution, Kitty. It will not go to waste. I promise to you that. I'm going to do a lot of the heavy lifting myself. And if you were here, I would take you up to Rockford and Peoria with me, and we would get the signatures to get on that March primary.
I'm working on getting up there, and if I can donate more, I will. And I definitely will.
Oh, don't worry about the money.
If not, I'll get my family to, because they will definitely be 100% backing you. And I don't know anybody on Clubhouse that considers themselves to have the same mindset and philosophy politically like you do. And yeah, Brad's one of them. A lot of things that you talked about, he talked about too.
I know, there's a lot of things I agree with him on, but
he's so pissed off.
There's a lot of things I don't, I can just play for you. Go to Pepe's room that he just had, and you can hear what Brad's political positions are. He talks a lot of shit. He thinks he's hot shit and he knows everything. It's unbelievable. The guy is in no position of power, but yet he's got opinions on every senator and congressperson who's ruling the country. Meanwhile, he's a fucking claims manager at a children's hospital. He denies little kids their health insurance. Or he's going to the health insurance companies and fighting for the children. I'm sure there's a lot of good things about Brad, but you know what? It doesn't matter if there's 99 good things and one bad thing. I would consider the one bad thing that he has done against me is drag me for 2 days and slander me and not even have a conversation. Just vociferously word vomit out slander and defamation for 2 days straight and make death threats against women. What kind of a man makes death threats against women all day long on a social audio? Somebody with a fucking probably brain clot. So, it's not a health problem. It's a personality problem. Maybe it's a traumatic brain injury from the war. I don't know.
Well, I don't want to talk about that. I don't even want to go there. Maybe it's PTSD from losing the strongest woman in his life. My phone is dying. John, take care of you. All right, if you can hear me.
Yeah, I know a lot of people like to bring up their children or their deceased spouses, but that'll only take you so far in terms of sympathy with the campaign to elect candidate Congressman John Kitover. It won't work on my ears, because when you make death threats either against me or against women that I know, and you defame me and slander me for 2 days straight, sorry, your management has got to know what you're doing. You're not going to get away with it when you attack me. It's just not going to happen. So, Mr. Tough Guy, I hope you like the unemployment line, because you know what? You probably won't get unemployment when you get terminated for the crimes you're committing, the laws that you're breaking, the fact that you're not working, that you're here on Clown House talking all day long, Brad. If you try to drag down somebody, they might grab you and drag you down with them. So be careful, what you say, Brad. That's all I'm saying. Okay, I'm going to leave this room open and I hope you all have a good night. This is Texas Children's Hospital notified about Brad Stauffenberger.
I have no husband. For thou hast had 5 husbands, and he whom thou hast now is not thy husband, and that thou saidest truly. And the woman said unto him, Sir, I perceive that thou art a prophet. Cohabitation.
In other words, she's saying, how do you know this? How do you know this about me? How do you know that I've had all of these things all of them?
was a campaigner like candidate Congressman Kitover. I just want to say Clubhouse is incredibly pathetic. After having made many recordings of Clubhouse as well as X Spaces and having exclusive content versus actual intelligence versus people who are just wasting their time doing gossip and drama and stirring pots, it's such a huge fucking waste of time. It's unbelievable. So if you kick me from your pathetic little room and you think you're actually doing anything on this app, believe me, you're not doing anything. You're wasting your time. And that's the only message I have for you. So I'm waiting for Mojo's return so we can kick this campaign back off here on Clubhouse, because otherwise it's a total waste of time. And there's some pathetic ass people here who are wasting their time doing nothing. Just wanted to let it out, let everybody know my thoughts. How pathetic.
As well off as it was when you first got here. That's not the attitude. And if this is going to be reduced to an economic zone, then the Republic cannot endure, right? I mean, through history we've seen. When we get to
America came from those same people. America got wealthy and powerful because of the slave population that they had with them. And these slaves had created many over 5.
Man, you give your ancestors too much credit, line, because it's called the industrial age. It's mass manufacturing and automation of mechanization. I want to roll here. Getting kicked from every room.
Hey, dude, was I for? But I think if he would have changed it, he would have called us. No, he wouldn't. He would say he know what the hell.
Hey, good evening, my fellow Americans. I'd like to make a request that you donate to the campaign to elect candidate Congressman John Kitover. I will put the link in the chat. I know Uncle Ruckus is good for $10 because Uncle Ruckus and we go way back.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was there when he escaped the monkey house known as Talking Apes and liberated himself from a group of idiots. Morons, you might call them. Stupid people. Idiots. Uncle Ruckus freed himself from living with morons on this app, but I see he's exchanged.
Good job. I'm not fucking doing that shit. I don't come in during the day.
I'm just saying that Uncle Ruckus lost one group of morons and apparently found another group of idiots.
Let's so as a man, I'm asking y'all because I don't have a weenie. Is that satisfying just to be able to just like fuck it, just pay for pussy for the rest of your life, or?
Well, that shit is tricky. I've been tricking. Yeah, I've been tricking. I mean, different men have different meanings of trick. So you'd have to because you got some stupid niggas. You take a woman to dinner. How you drinking? So, you know, you really have to see like what he means.
I thought it was for power trip purposes. Like I could buy you if I wanted to.
I mean, different men, like, there's different men have different meanings of it. You know, it's a man over there, like if he's in Africa, tricking and the dollar goes far, the nigga might just be buying drinks and food, right? If you in America, I mean, it's just, every man's different. So I don't, you know, you have to really ask him. You know, some niggas might be fly, you know. I don't know. But we've been hearing all this manosphere talk all day, really for the last 5 days. So my question is this, at the top, is the manosphere, is it anti-black women, or is it about men's empowerment? I hear different things, right? I hear that it's about brothers getting together and trying to become better, talking about finance and fitness and being good husbands and good fathers. And then I hear some of the rhetoric, which to be honest, is a little bit negative, right? So, and I'll be honest with you, if you ask me what I think that whatever good can be done gets overshadowed by the negativity, right? So to me, whatever good is being done, I think that it's a little bit
They've upset a few people.
Self-destructive, because it's hard for you to, if the goal is to do well and the goal is to make a profitable community and to be positive and to mentor young men and old men, I think the negativity will get in the way, if that makes any sense. But that's my opinion. But to the title, is it, you know, is it about, you know, is it about anti-black women? Are we against women? Or are we about just the upliftment of men? I'd like us to talk about it. Tell me how y'all feel. Everybody's opinion is welcome. Mamiya, if you'd like to come on the stage, we'd love to have you. I'm sure you have some comments on this, so you're welcome to come up.
Well, I was always taught that a nation could never exceed its weakest link, and this was kind of like a NOI talking point. You will always be judged by the state of your women as a nation, no matter what. Especially if you are to be the leaders of that nation. So you can't have one without the other. You have to work in tandem. And so I just don't see.
Well, thankfully, I'm not a manipulation.
I
got about an hour.
I wasn't saying you were. Okay, yeah. I was just speaking on those are some of the teachings that I was taught. Like you never exceed. Like even as a parent, you are only as good of a parent as you are of the children you bear as fruit. So like that kind of concept.
Well, that's nice to know. Yeah, I'm good for about an hour to Strange New Worlds comes on.
Okay, so I guess you're one of the leaders of the manosphere. So is it about anti-black women, or is it about black male empowerment?
As always, the devil's in the details, isn't it, John? I would say that it's definitely black male empowerment, no question about that. But with regard to being anti-black women, I would say it's critique of black American women. I would say it's a critique. And I think the critique is long overdue. And I think when we look at the evidence, you can see it. So, look, black women have critiqued black men for decades. Black men have taken it on the chin. Sometimes I don't even disagree with it. But the ladies are going to have to get used to the fact that it's our turn. And we're not going back, as your standard bearer last year said. We're not going back. And you just have to get used to it. You're going to have to get used to brothers expressing themselves and reflecting on whether or not what they say has a real truth to it. Putting on your big girl panties and getting on with the business of upping your game.
It doesn't seem like that. You got to get used to it because all those manosphere dudes are dying. One of them got ball cancer. Kevin Samuel died. They don't. They're like they're not even surviving. So ain't nobody but used to it. No one's listening to that. No one is. And me, I don't give a fuck if you gonna put some old ass video. Everybody know how I look. I never ducked it. I never lied about anything about who I am and where I'm from and what I do. But I got you, homeboy. Unlike you, I'm not no broke bitch, and I guarantee you, I got you. Okay, so you ain't got to worry about that. So don't sit up there and fucking be posting no old ass video, lying and saying, "Oh, this is how." That's who I am. I don't give a fuck. Like that was such a long fucking time ago, and your woman was fat, and she fucking lost the weight just like the fuck I did. So you need to shut the fuck up. Cause you the one who was talking shit about big women, and you had a big woman, and you was the one talking about baby mamas, and your woman was a baby mama. That's fucking crazy. All the shit. You the liar, and then you're the liar. You're the liar talking about you guys were at the Four Seasons. That's where y'all all stayed, and Shannon just said y'all was at the MC because the Four Seasons was too expensive.
No.
Okay, there's a few rooms at the Four Seasons. But you act like all the conclave members were all balling and staying at the Four Seasons. You be just lying so much.
I didn't say that.
Yes, the hell you did. Everybody heard that.
I said that. I said I stayed there. And with regard to my lady friend, I know you want to talk about her a lot. No surgery. Didn't need to go under the knife. She did it the old-fashioned way.
But what was you doing? Okay, and I'm proud, and I'm happy that she did that. What were you doing? What were you doing? Don't worry about how. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how I. It doesn't matter how I did it, as long as it got done. It don't matter how. It doesn't matter how I did it, as long as it got done. But the fact that you sit up there, no, because you sit up there.
Vulgar dispersions against you. Generally, that shows their lack of self-confidence, because if your claim is that I'm a bitch,
Okay, this is Texas Children's Hospital.
You're
notifying
coming here
Brad
at 1 in the morning to tell me that I'm a bitch and have self-confidence. Is it really me, or is it you? So that's the thing about projection, where especially when you cast dispersion on somebody. Is it really worth your time to cast a dispersion on somebody and slander them? It's a you problem. So maybe that has something to do with Brad Stauffenberg. Well, maybe we've learned something here.
I was just
slandered me, so I have no choice but to notify his management team at Texas Children's Hospital. Brad Stauffenberg, who makes regular death threats on this app, management team has been notified. I'd expect Friday will probably be your last day working at the hospital, Brad. Hope you have
for everybody else that wants to
roster. I'm sure you'll get, well, actually, you won't get unemployment because this termination was for conduct. So,
thank you for your campaign contribution, kid. It will not go to waste.
Texas,
I promise
Minneapolis,
you that.
Minnesota, wherever you
do a
live.
lot of the heavy lifting myself.
Good luck.
And if you were here, I would take you up to Rockford if you were here with me, and we could get the signatures to get on that march with the
Fucked it
primary.
up. You know, we are our own worst enemy.
If I can donate more, I will.
Unfortunately.
Definitely will.
Oh, don't worry about the money. We
I'll
are
get my family.
I'm not gonna let you get away with threatening to kill my friend Jane or Bima or Monica. You're no gentleman, you're just a crude, paganistic Viking. And Friday you'll probably be an unemployed, crude, paganistic Viking. As I said earlier, good luck, God bless. If you come across this room, anybody, be sure to retweet. Click that link above and retweet so the hospital knows for sure that they see it. I'm going to let this room stay open all night so people can retweet and enjoy. Oh, look, it's Lord. Hey, Lord. Click the link above.
Somebody casts vulgar dispersions against you, generally that shows their lack of self-confidence. Because if your claim is that I'm a bitch and I have no self-confidence, but you're coming here at 1 in the morning to tell me that I'm a bitch and have no self-confidence, is it really me or is it you? So that's the thing about projection, where especially when you cast dispersions on somebody, is it really worth your time to cast a dispersion on somebody that slander them? It's just, it's a you problem. So maybe that has something to do with right self-confidence. Maybe people are something.
And the room I was just in, too. I mean, honestly, that's the key. Even yourself, that yeah, I think so. Sure. And if that little bitch has, I'm just kidding.
In the military?
I'm filing a lawsuit against the clubhouse user who slandered me for the past 2 days. Does that make me a narcissist?
How are you gonna do that when you don't even know who they really are?
Oh, I know who they are. I got the LinkedIn and everything. I know the hospital they work at. They're fucked.
Wow.
Yeah, let me put it on my PTR. You can take a look at this asshole because he's a narcissist son of a bitch. Let me show you his face. His ugly
Yeah, go
fucking
ahead.
face. Look at this
I might know.
ugly motherfucker. Ugly motherfucker.
She said, is he really white? I don't know. He might be white.
He an ugly.
Oh.
He's an Irish beer drinking, shepherd's pie eating.
Oh, he look like he ain't about
motherfucker.
shit though. He on Clubhouse?
Oh yeah, his name's Brad
Where he at on
Stauffenberg.
Clubhouse?
Oh, he all around. He comes up here. He makes death threats to women on the app all the time.
Oh, where I be at? Where these people be at on Clubhouse? That part. Is there like another site? You know what? Now there's multiple sites. Hold on, wait, Shawty. I'm convinced that Clubhouse is everything now. It might be. Cause I barely ever stumble. I was weird. I'm like, where do people go? I don't ever see their rooms on there. Yeah, they used to have a lot of rooms before. They did. I used to be in their little group, isn't it? Me too. R&B on the stage. They had a stage on that was what is it called? When you're impromptu comedy and then you put one of the one just went out of my head. You mean their little level light room? Yeah, and now all they have is a lot of these rooms that you're just listening to like some video. Yeah. Those are a lot of the rooms that I see now. They even used to have a real estate motherfuckers on here. Yep, they did. They
We back. We back.
Oh, hey, serendipity. Click the link above. I decided to notify Brad's management team at the Texas Children's Hospital in Houston that he comes out here, makes death threats and libels and slanders me. So be sure to retweet. Thanks, serendipity. And if you talk to Brad, make sure you let him know I've notified his management at Texas Children's Hospital.
Very quick and easy.
protection for Palestine, right? He's not buying.
A good point. He's going to get some ROI on his money he's going to.
Yeah. So again, like he invested in all these district attorneys for the last several years all around the United States. He owns all these district attorneys, and where there's all this chaos going on around the United States, and he's doing a lot of things in Europe and all around the world with his Open Society Foundation. I just want people to think: when have you ever known George Soros to not make money on his investments or not get something in return for for his activism, especially when he's putting tens of millions of dollars into it continuously for several years? What's he buying? He's not buying, Palestinian solidarity or a state for Palestine, right? He's buying the deflection of blame away from Jews. He's buying protection of Jewish.
Really is at times because Soros is like so demonized, rightfully so. But like a lot of people, especially the MAGA people, a lot of people don't realize he's even a Jew. Like they just default to Soros, rightfully so. But then like it's Dr. Rosie Schwartz, he changed his name too. Did he really? Of course. They all
Absolutely, of course, he changed his name.
Do you really believe his story that when he was 12 or 13 years old, was relied on him, little 12, 13-year-old, to point out whose wealth they should strip? People actually buy into that bullshit story. Yeah, just like the whole magnitude of the lies they tell. Yeah, because he was so smart, or his dad was so smart, they were able to change up his identity and get him an ID saying he was Christian. That's why they entrusted him, and they needed his intelligence to figure out who's who in the concentration camp, so they could steal that person's wealth. And he still repeats that bold-faced lie to this day. So it's just incredible to me that gaslighter like Soros nothing would cause havoc and currency destruction and destroy economies by bidding against various currencies like the pound, of course. Currencies in Thailand and Cambodia to destroy those economies. And he's proud of it. He's proud of the fact that he's then reinvested his wealth into like NAACP or BLM and all these divisive movements just so they can create race wars and then sit there and laugh. And then he'll also hire instigators to go and infiltrate these college campus rallies and turn them into riots so the cops show up. That's how they're winning. Yep, absolutely. He destroys them. He gets their guys in place. Like, can you remind everybody who our Treasury Secretary is? The lovely guy, Mr. Scott Bessent. Scott Bessent. He was his prodigy. Well, one of them. Scott Bessent. Yep, worked for him for 40 years. I think he still does. Helped crash the homosexual too, I believe, right? Yeah, I think he's a Jew. I thought I was 100% correct on that. Not 100% correct. I think he's a Jew. I know he's a homosexual. He's a homosexual. I'm not sure if he's a Jew. He's probably another Peter Thiel. Yes, exactly. He's another Peter Thiel. So he's a Jew in spirit who's a homosexual that adopted 2 kids like Dave Rubin through surrogacy. And he helped Soros crash the pound in 1992. As, again, like I said all the time, the dollar's lost 97% of its buying value. And like we were talking about with Sam earlier, as Jews say, our future lies with the rising east, and China's got all these new bridges, these new transportation systems, everything. As Americans, there's drug addicts all over the street, and I just want people to be consistent. It's like they hate when Soros people are in Biden's administration, rightfully so. But when Trump has the guy that's in charge of our fucking monetary system, being a Soros guy, yeah, it's probably not a good idea. Never mind the fact that, again, he has specialties of crashing dollars and pounds and all that, as we're on the way to probably crashing the dollar, but I digress for that for now.
I just want to reiterate because I get a massive knowledge dump. It's very twisty, turny, and involved. I just want people to understand this. There is a movement that opposes Israel that's called anti-Zionism. Right? If you're an intelligence agency, if you're a government, if you're the government of Israel, if you're the intelligence agencies over Israel, and there's this worldwide movement that's against you, what are you going to do about it? How are you going to manage that? Well, obviously, they're going to engage in subversion, infiltration, the best way to defeat the opposition is to lead it ourselves, right? This is classic intelligence operation. So you have to think, you have to use your brain and understand that, okay, there's an anti-Zionist movement that opposes Israel. That means Israel is going to try to get control of that opposition and lead it themselves so that it can't amount to anything. Of course that's what they're going to do, right? Of course that's what they're going to do. You have to understand that. You have to be able to see that. And it turns out that, like, that entire anti-Zionist space, and you've got, like, people like Miko Khaled, whose dad was a general in the IDF, hero of the 6-Day War in 19 get sophisticated here and understand that of course they're going to try to contain these things. Of course they're going to try to get control of them, right? So that they won't amount to anything. They're going to try and steer them. Well, how are you going to do that? Right? How are you going to do that? Well, it turns out there's 6 major anti-Zionist organizations in the world, and 4 of them are funded by Jews. So it's like, hello, McFly, and and by the way, they use all the anti-Zionist rhetoric that Soviet intelligence used during the Cold War, and the KGB, that was being run by Jews on the Committee for Anti-Zionism, right? So you had anti-Zionist Jews in the Soviet Union leading the anti-Zionist movement, and now you have this curiously, this Jewish-led anti-Zionist movement that is like blaming everybody but Jews for Israel, right? So put the pieces together, people. You got to see these pieces and see how they fit together.
And the White Hats are going to save us, just like Operation Trust with the Bolsheviks and the White Army is going to save us.
There you go.
Everybody sit back and relax. You're all good to go.
Yes.
Control Hillary's in Guantanamo.
And by the way, this goes back to 1920 and Winston Churchill's famous op-ed, Zionism versus Bolshevism, struggle for the soul of the Jewish people. These 2 factions of Jews have been duking it out over whose vision for worldwide Jewry is better. The Zionists or the Bolsheviks, the left-wingers versus the right-wingers, right? And they've been duking it out for decades, right? And so but Zionism is mostly one. You still have this small, sincere faction of, probably rank and file Jewry who does believe in anti-Zionism, and they absolutely do want a 2-state solution, and a lot of them it's because they fear for their family and their Jewish family and brethren in Israel. Like they want peace, so that their brethren in Israel are no longer in danger, right? That's part of it too. My point is that these movements have been shanghaied, they've been subverted, they're being controlled, money's being funneled, NGOs are involved, the ADL's involved, strategic paid influencers and bot operations are involved, and they've taken control of it. And it's just a very, very small group of Jews doing it. But the returns are massive because you have like billions of people in the world that every day you get on Twitter or on other social media platforms and you hear about how Israel's a bunch of settler colonialism from Europe, and these Israeli Islamo-fascist Nazis, Zio-Nazis, and Netanyahu's like Hitler.
Oh my God, I hate to check
this. Is all.
This is paperwork.
Yeah, and if you blame Jews, then they'll attack you for being anti-Semitic. And well, it's not all Jews, and so they're getting wild ROI on this anti-Zionist operation.
They'll sacrifice their own like October 7th. The end of festival.
Yeah, who cares? What's a few broken eggs, right? Big deal. They do this, right? They're ruthless, even to their own, for the greater cause. So my point is, people, you have to see that you have to know that intelligence agencies and governments are going to try to control the opposition against them. How are they going to do that? I'm explaining to you how they're going to do it, and I'm showing you that Soviet intelligence did it already. Like Jews in Soviet intelligence already did it. So they literally just they moved their shop from the Soviet Union over to Israel after the fall of the Soviet Union, brought it on over, and business as usual, just kept it going, right? And it's very useful because it blames white people and Christians and Europeans for all the problems instead of Judaism and Jewish supremacy. And it splits the anti-Zionist left from uniting with the anti-Semitic right. Now, if you can imagine what would happen if the left and the right could come together against worldwide organized Jewish supremacy. But we can't, because we're fighting with each other. One side's anti-white, one side's anti-Muslim, one side's anti-Israel, one side's anti-Semitic. It's like they can't come together, right? They wanted us to vote for not Claudia Sheinbaum, but Jill Stein, the anti-Zionist Jew, Jill Stein. Well, what did she want to do? She wanted to amnesty all the tens of millions of illegals in the United States and establish more immigration courts and bring in more immigrants and just continue this flood of demographic transformation into the United States. This is what anti-Zionists do. Show me an anti-Zionist Jew and I'll show you a Jew who's anti-white and wants to flood country with multiculturalism, right? Show me a Zionist Jew and they want to constantly take the United States to war. And anyway, so
they're damn good at they do.
We just can't come together because, like Sean King, he's doing this great work exposing this pedophile in Vegas, right? But Sean King is this lefty shit-lit anti-white guy, right? This white guy poses as a black guy, Ash was on the right. They don't want to have anything to do with those people because, they're anti-white, they're anti-American, and they're communists. Why are they communists? Because for decades the Soviet Union was like seeding these groups and these movements with communism. Right? That's what they were doing. So we're still reaping the fruits of like decades of, global Soviet intelligence operations. And
International jury.
yeah, and international jury's a vector that they worked through while the Soviet Union existed. They were working through international jury. Soviet Union goes away. Guess what? International jury still exists, right?
I can't tell you how many people I saw the other day, including that faggot cop Drogo, who's still buying the QAnon fucking psyop somehow and pushing, although he's got to be paid to do it, like was broken. But he was saying, you guys really gonna try to absolve Trump of any blame for that prosecutor? Yeah, remember? Yeah. Tom Alexandrovich was released just because through the local DA that had nothing to do with Trump's intervention acting on behalf of Israel. I mean, that's just how far gone he is. They'll never hold Trump accountable for his clear guilt involved in allowing for this Jewish pedophile to escape justice. And it's not even the first time. This has happened routinely. Just real quick before I forget, we had a subversive in here earlier. He was trying to chase after you, thinking that you're trying to get him canceled. I didn't know anything about him. You were tied up at the time. We dropped him anyway. He's likely listening in the tunnels. I think you know who he is. His name starts Andrew. I think you know who he is. Andrew Meyer.
I've never heard of her. I don't know who you're talking about. Never heard of her.
So let's not presume the gender. Okay, well, you never heard of her, then he's probably got you mistaken with someone else. But he came up gunning for you.
But don't taste me, bro.
Yeah, exactly. That's the one, yeah.
I don't know who you're talking about. I didn't hear anything about that. I don't even know who that is.
See no evil. Okay, well, let's clarify. I'm sure the tunnel rats will be relieved now because they're scared that they might get their accounts canceled because that's going to happen to a Jew, right? For sure. All right, well, Sam, we have an aspiring Congressman John here. Maybe he can get some tips from you on how to manage without taking the APAC money. He's trying to make it to Congress. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, I'm not taking APAC money, unlike Darren LaHood. I mean, if APAC called and said, hey, here's $50,000 like they do to Darren LaHood every year, I mean, you know what? Maybe I would take that money to run attack ads against Darren LaHood. But speaking of Andrew Meyer, don't tase me, bro. I know Andrew Meyer from Clubhouse, where I made a lot of recordings of Andrew Meyer talking about 9/11 and how it was an inside job and a huge cover up. So he reported my YouTube account and got my YouTube account clipped. Andrew Meyer. So, anyways, but yes, I am running for Congress here in the state of Illinois in the 16th district against Darren LaHood, and I'm waging war against all kinds of dragons that just appear out of nowhere and attack you all day long, try to defame you, slander you, libel you. Um, it's unbelievable the pieces of shit in this world who call themselves Trump, MAGA, or Republicans. They basically, people have a lot of personal problems, and I think a lot of people project them onto you as you talk to them in social audio spaces. So I think that's probably one of the issues that goes on in the social audio ecosystem, is that there's a lot of projection and very little actual information. Nobody reads books. Nobody does grok queries. Everybody is literally just like on the warpath to project and attack. That's what I have observed over the past 48 hours.
Yep, John, I'm not sure if you heard Diligence Space earlier, had Congressman Massey on, and he mentioned that he's demanded for the Epstein files to be released. He had a personal conversation with Pam Bondi himself. He said something will get released. There was a news release that something might get disclosed. Who knows? They'll likely be redacted anyway. What are your thoughts on the Epstein files?
Yeah, I heard the whole Thomas Massey interview with Diligent Citizen today. I recorded it, created all kinds of clips on YouTube. He says September 3rd is when they're back into Congress. And I think he said end of September, mid-September, they're going to have their press conference on the front steps of Congress. But he said he's also going to do a drop, that they have some juicy gossip, which is going to cause a major problem. Some type of poison pill that he says he's going to drop. So, I just, I just think all this stuff is going to get redacted and you'll never see it, because I guarantee you that Jeffrey Epstein was playing both sides of the fence. He was doing espionage, first of all, for himself, for his own personal power. and his own personal blackmailing and financial arrangements. And then B and C, he was probably, or even D, he was probably doing intelligence gathering and payoffs with not just Israel, but also the UK, and Prince Andrew, etc. So Epstein was the man in terms of carrying out international espionage, blackmail, manipulation on behalf of a lot of people, and also himself. The guy was worth $800-something million.
Real quick, John, 1 second. What the glitch is going on? True. Do you see how many people are in the space? It says 2,780 for me. I don't know what the fuck's
Yeah, we're getting spotted.
I'm talking now.
I mean, that's what happens when you rely on an Israeli company check to deal with bots. You know, they'll attack a space they don't like, so.
What the fuck? What the?
Welcome to the Jewish bot attack.
What does that do? Doesn't that put you to the top?
4,000 now, yeah. Damn bots.
That's fine, don't let it bother you, it'll pass. Comes and goes.
I mean,
Sorry, John.
I would
That was
go.
wild.
I would go as far as to say that Epstein may have even been involved with who was the owner of the Twin Towers?
Larry Silverstein.
I would be. Well, I don't know what the connection is there, or if he has any. But if Epstein is that high up, and he had
Well, Lutnick, Epstein, and of course, what's his name? Larry Silverstein all knew not to go to the towers that day.
well, what I'm,
And you're aware that Epstein's neighbor was Howard Lutnick. They lived right next door to each other in New York. And we know Lutnick knew not to go to work that day, even though 658 of his employees did. They got wiped out. And because he had to take his kid to kindergarten, supposedly. And Silverstein, he had to go to his dermatology appointment. Epstein likely wasn't around at the time. Well, he was busy doing his human trafficking or whatever it is he was up to that day. So, yeah, there's absolutely a connection there. And plus, they were both bankrolled by Les Wexner, in addition to Mike Jeffries. I'm not sure if you read about my thread on him. Are you aware he's being prosecuted for human trafficking as well? Through his connection he was the CEO of Abercrombie & Fitch, which is owned by L Brands, that, of course, Lex Wexner controls. He's also Jewish, by the way.
he's a
And I
freak.
never knew Epstein lived next to, or Lutnick lived next to Epstein for 23 or 24
Right
years.
next door,
Wow.
from 98 till...
That's wild.
And his home was gifted to him, by the way, for $10 and considerable offering. And then he took out a loan for $4 million, which he paid back in 2018. So Wexner gifted Lutnick a home. What do you think of that, John?
Huh. Sorry, Heidi, did you get up here? Heidi, when you disconnect, I'll send you a mic because she can't get
There are 7,600 listeners. So what kind of swarm attack would you call this on the next?
I don't even know what this is. This
9,000
is wild.
listeners. There are 9,000 listeners now. This is incredible.
Hey, everybody, just go follow me. Yeah, just everybody, if those people are real, they'll go follow me.
Yeah,
If they don't
follow
me, they're
all
not
the
real.
speakers, Mr. Bot, so we don't have to pay for fake followers like everybody else.
What the hell does that do, though? Does it, discredit the space or something? And now Heidi can't connect.
I think if everybody leaves and joins at the same time, it kind of gets reported and the space can get knocked or something like that.
Yeah, it can crash the space.
It's a DDoS. They're trying to DDoS the room.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
But, X is a big platform, and chances are 10,000 listeners won't crash it.
They don't like it when we start exposing their intelligence operations.
No, it's when they join at the same time or leave at the same time that it sometimes crashes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they bought these bots. It doesn't cost very much to do it. But I think they have an allergy towards exposure of the Epstein files because they really want to move past it without any accountability. So,
But don't be
we'll keep
surprised.
talking about it.
Don't be surprised if it's probably not even Israel that's doing this. You do realize it's probably our own government that is trying to DDoS the room right now.
Or some of their Indians as well, the programmers they hire, because you realize Israel does outsource a lot of its IT services to India. They'll do their dirty work and bidding for a small price. Their labor's a lot cheaper, so it could be the Indian programmers as
Where do
well.
you think all these vaccines came from for COVID-19? I saw videos of Indian manufacturers that made tens of billions of dollars from U.S. taxpayer money to poison us with vaccines manufactured in India.
Well, but let's be honest. It was the Jewish-run Pfizer that made over $100 billion just in 2022 alone, just from the mRNA vaccine alone. Of course, they've been criminally fined, but nobody's been fined for the COVID vaccine. And there was Tal Zaks that I believe is Moderna as well. He was the CMO there who was also pushing the vaccine.
And it was Danielle who was also pushing it as well. So
he's got one in his office still. And I threw on the nest a Jew admitting that they
RFK that wrote a book and claimed that it increased the fertility rates for Jews while it decreased rates for whites and others, right?
Heidi's stuck on connecting. Heidi, you're stuck, so I'm going to remove you from the space real quick, and then hopefully that'll unglitch you.
Send her a mic.
She's like, do you hear it? Does it say connecting for you? It's spinning.
It does.
Well, I already sent her a mic, and I told her to reset.
Okay.
So
yeah,
I
DDoS thing's fucking up. Yeah, true.
I'm gonna ask Grog.
Look at Dr. Stanley Plotkin. He's the father of vaccines. You know, he's been in the game for over 4 decades. He's the one who made the claim that none of these vaccines have been tested for safety, and yet they're still marketed as if they are safe, even though they cause all kinds of side effects. They've only been widespread in use since the 1970s. We went from like 3 or 4 vaccines to over 70.
You know what's crazy
too?
Yeah, 72 of them. Which, like I said all the time, people that don't know and all the bots, you can hear it. If you give your children all 72 quote-unquote vaccines, because again, they're not, because they've never been tested and they're fucking not vaccines, they don't work. You're giving them 13,000 micrograms of aluminum, 600 micrograms of mercury, which is fantastic, and 200 chemicals, including baby-aborted fetal cells, formaldehyde, like egg yolk or whatever, so then you get all these allergies and you're stuck in big pharmacia your whole life. And then the way they juke the stats too, I found this out last week, like they did with the pandemic with the mRNA vaccine, they said you technically weren't vaccinated until 2 weeks after your second vaccine. So if you fucking just pulled the Tiffany over and died after your first quote-unquote vaccine, I call it quote-unquote because it's obviously not, especially that one's literally not, got voted in the 9th District of 9th Circuit Court in DC like a year and a half ago said that it's not a vaccine, it's gene therapy, aka gene editing. But if you were after your second dose of mRNA, if you died within 14 days, you were not, or had a side effect basically within 14 days, it did not count. You're not counted as vaccinated. And they do the same thing for the childhood vaccines. If you die within the I believe it's first 2 weeks, you are not considered. It's not considered a death because the number is crazy. It's like, I'll have to find it, but I don't know if I have it. It's like something like 70 to 76% of SID, sudden infant death syndrome, happens in the first 2 weeks, but they don't count it as a death because they just juke and rig the stats because they say that you're not vaccinated because they know that it's going to kill people or children within the first 2 weeks, babies within the first 2 weeks. So that's how they rig it, and then nobody knows better, and they're still fucking poisoning their children every day. All right,
by the way,
try to figure out.
Thanks for that super chat. I'll read out what you wrote. Thank you for the space and the hard work every day you enjoy and put in. Since you're here a couple days a week, you challenge anyone who cares about the future of humanity in America to go on the nest and toss Truth $5 for the spaces threads he does daily. We got to help our own. Appreciate that. Appreciate the support. And I'll keep doing it. The support's great, but I feel an obligation to expose as much truth as possible. Hopefully, till the day, while my account's still active, I'll keep at it. Appreciate the support, though. Thanks for that vote of confidence as well.
You're welcome. And everybody, go up there, put your money where the mouth is, in the front of the nest. I won't go on a rant like I did the other day because I don't want to sound like fucking. I don't want to have people hitting me up saying, "Well, you and Truth Teller's putting you up to this." No, obviously he's fucking not. And whatever, it doesn't matter. People already know. But you already explained it the other day. You got to help our own, put our money where your mouth is. $5 at least. If you're not going to subscribe, go up there, toss him $5 for the amount of work that he puts in. And again, including Joanne, Tyler, and all these people that come up, especially Joanne, every single day, staying up late nights with me. Possibly after this, if I open up space with OC, hopefully, and other people and stuff. So go up there, toss $5, and let me figure out Heidi here.
Look, I literally blocked her from the space to remove her and then let her back in, and she's still in limbo. Like, she's just stuck there. It's crazy.
I don't know, we brought Prashana. It must be her connection. Not sure where she is. But, okay. John, is there anything else you want to add?
No, I just thought the Thomas Massey thing today was fantastic news. It seems like he's well organized, and the fact that he's coming on X to speak about these things publicly is great news, and it's a shame that he's the only one, that you really see in Congress. Again, the guy that I'm running against, Darren LaHood, takes APAC money. He pushes the vaccine on all his constituents. He said, if you don't get vaxxed, this pandemic will never end, and you'll never be able to go back to work. So that's the type of asshole he is. But yet people will probably still continue voting on him. But over the next couple weekends, I'll be driving to Rockford and Peoria. So if there's anybody in Illinois that wants to help get petitions signed to defeat rhino vaccinologist Darren LaHood, please follow me, message me, and I'll send you details on where we're going to be and how we're going to get signatures. Thanks, everybody.
All right, well, good luck to you, John. Hope it all goes well and be safe. You know, those APAC guys are pretty ruthless. Thomas Scott, you'll be the first to tell you saw what happened with his wife. Unfortunately, God rest her soul, just for exposing APAC and the fact that all congressmen that take it back money ended up getting their handlers as well as babysitters. So,
yeah, we sure are pretty far ahead of the other ones. I'm scrolling because I know you followed me. Followed you back. Scrolling through some of the timelines. So you got that lovely Vivid guy talking about October 7th and all that, but we can save that for another day. But Tisha, did you want to jump in because you're always quick, and then we'll go to my guy William.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. It's obvious history repeats itself. I love that you guys brought up Operation Trust because there's an awful lot of people making money off selling that Q nonsense. Liz Crokin, she will never, ever mention Branson. Isn't that interesting?
Why? Yeah, because she went to his island.
She went to his island, absolutely.
hanging out with the Brockmans there, Sarah and Claire.
Yeah. She'll never bring it up. I tried to. I cornered her. She will not speak on it. I mentioned. I actually posted something below about the $500 billion for the Stargate project. That's below. If anybody wants to read about that. And I wanted to mention, I'm sure you guys know about this, but it's so crazy, that Trump decided to put back up the Albert Pike statue. Is that paying homage to the grandfather of Freemasonry? I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. That's crazy. But to what Jonathan said earlier, about doing something. Megan Walsh was in the room earlier, and she's starting a project called Better Ways. It's just basically doing simple, keeping things better, and doing it in better ways locally, where you just help each other out, like giving a single mom a ride or whatever it is, just doing small things for the community to help each other out. So I just wanted to add those things in real quick. And what do you guys think of the Albert Pike thing? I mean, is it obvious? Like, hello, like he's paying homage. I think so.
He's just part of trying to fulfill that end of times prophecy they really want to achieve, right? So Albert Pike made that Third World War prediction, besides the first two, and Trump's probably part of the self-fulfillment part of it. He's the one that's going to possibly get us into that war, ultimate Third World War, so this way the Jews can end up building the third temple and get their Messiah here and wipe out 2/3 of humanity. So I don't know, there's probably some symbolism behind it, but everything Trump does is usually as a result of a directorate from above. He does as his paymasters tell him to do, so I don't really pay too much credence with what he says and does. Like, look at him right now, just squirming and worried and insulting people over the Epstein list, just completely losing credibility within his own base, just from the way he's talking now.
100%. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you.
I have Morals and Dogma by Albert Pike, and I gotta admit, it is a pretty interesting book. Freemasonry was very popular in America in the 1860s all the way up to 1920s, 30s. The first skyscraper in Chicago was a Freemason building. So Freemasonry in America and the world is an interesting history in itself.
Yeah, agreed. All right, I think it was William and then Prashant. Go ahead, William.
Hey, Truth, how are you? Great space here. I truly enjoyed listening to that speaker, Sam Parker. First time I heard him, really good. I like how he doesn't just recite statistics and this and that, but he presents in the way where people who may be hesitant about Cracker Barrel logo omits the white man with the barrel to the left and the words old country store have been omitted. You don't want that. I mean, you walk into a store, old country store, you're not going to expect to see some blue-haired, cuffed-out lady, pierced-up tattoo, doesn't give a shit. And, of course, the CEO of Cracker Barrel is a Jewess, Julie something. And, unbelievable. And one final thing. If anyone has information on this, I have this theory that David Portnoy and Michael Rappaport are the same Jew. So if anyone has information on that, please forward it to me. Anyway, great space, and that's it. I land there.
They probably have common ancestry, maybe the same grandparents, great-grandparents from all the inbreeding. That's why they look similar. They're separate people for sure. Rather than can act, and somehow they made it. I think Rappaport is more dependent on getting his George Soros funding, just where you can promote Israel all the time and deny things like apartheid. Whereas Portnoy is just he's just a nut job, man.
You see, Michael Rappaport's herpes sore on his lip has infected over 8,000 people.
Sure, it's not 6 million.
Is that for real, John? 8,000?
At a minimum. I mean, I'm just making a joke.
Yeah, don't stare at it too long on your phone screen, or if it passes through the cyberspace.
If he's on X, space becomes contagious. Be careful, guys. Don't get too close.
Liz Grogan claims to have brain damage from that. From getting a fever or whatever you call it, herpes on her lip. She claims to have brain damage from it. She does.
Look how the room went down to 492 people after that DDoS attack. That was wild. I've never seen that on X before.
I've seen it get much higher, like 50, 60,000 in big spaces.
Yeah, I guess we're not that big of a deal yet. We'll work our way up.
7 to 8,000 bot attack. That's respectable though. That's nothing to sneeze at. You're definitely you're onto something there.
So how do you, let me ask you a question. How do you defend against being labeled a Jew hater, anti-Semite, knowing that if Israel wants to stop any type of American organizing in terms of stopping funding, stopping weaponry? I mean, basically the status, a lot of people want the status quo to stay the same. So I'm just wondering, how do you defend against being labeled, anti-Semitic?
You talking about the country or a person?
Here as a person here on Spaces, doing, patriotic activities, because, if you believe that 9/11 was an inside job or a cover-up or a Mossad operation, or you believe all the subsequent wars and all the spending was a plot to essentially protect Israel from Saddam Hussein, from Gaddafi, from all these people that wanted to destroy Israel, I'm just wondering, how do you, as an American who is a patriotic American firster, how do you defend against the label of being anti-Semitic?
Well, first of all, you can't worry about being called a name. That's number one. I get called a Nazi, anti-Semite, Jew hater, a racist, probably or some combination every day, literally every day. You have to, number one, not be worried about it or let it faze you. Although I do acknowledge that if it's new for you, it will be jarring, it will be dispiriting, it might hurt a little bit, because most people have good hearts and nice people, and they don't, want to be called these vile smears, quote unquote vile smears. But number one, you just got to be tough, and who cares what they call you? It's just like when you're a kid, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's number one. Number two, if somebody calls you a Jew hater, there's different ways of dealing with that. One way you can deal with it is like, name the Jews I hate. Like if you're in a conversation or somebody accuses you of being a Jew hater, say, name the Jews I hate. Put them on the spot. Tell them to tell you and list the Jews that you hate. And they won't be able to, probably. Does anybody really hate like Stan Lee? I mean, maybe some hardcore anti-Semites, white nationalists, maybe hate Stan Lee. The comic strip, artist, the comic creator, Fantastic Four, X-Men, these types of things. I mean, does anybody hate Stan Lee? Does does anybody hate William Shatner, Captain Kirk? I mean, maybe some people do, but there's, the point is like, do you hate Jews or do you, do you disapprove of certain actions and behaviors, right? So if somebody accuses you of being a Jew hater, just say, okay, name the Jews I hate, and that usually shuts them up. That's one strategy. There are others, but you'll figure it out as you go. If they call you, and by the way, everybody should remember this if you don't know it. If you get called a Nazi, a Jew hater, an anti-Semite, a fascist, a Holocaust denier, a Hamas supporter, a terrorist, or half a dozen other names, these all just mean that Jews don't like you. That's what it means, right? And that you oppose, if you oppose Jews or Jewish power or Jewish agendas, they will smear you with one of these labels. And usually the label tells you what you're running afoul of. Like, if you're supporting Palestine too much, well, now you're a Hamas supporter or you're a terrorist. If you say, well, wait a second, maybe the Third Reich had some good economic ideas, maybe National Socialism wasn't all bad. Well, now you're a Nazi, right? If you want to close the border, and control immigration and deport people, you're a white supremacist, you're a fascist, right? But these all mean the same thing. They all mean that you oppose Jews and Jewish supremacy and Jewish power and Jewish agendas. That's what it means. It means that they hate you. That's what it means. And they'll always attack, strike out, cry out pain as they attack. That's what they're doing when they call you those things, right? So, you just can't be fazed by the names they call you. You have to remember, like, when they call you these names, it means you're usually over the target.
Yep.
And just keep pushing forward anyway. And if they really challenge you and you want to strike back, just say, okay, name the Jews I hate, and make them name some Jews you hate. And they probably won't be able to name any Jews that you hate, because it's quite likely that you don't really have a visceral hatred for any specific Jew. Maybe a few, maybe there's a few. And if there are, then you can be sanguine about it and say, why you hate them? They sent the SWAT team to my house 9 times in 4 days, like they did to Lucas Gage. Maybe then you say, well, maybe I hate some Jews.
Yeah, Sam nailed it. Also, the way I go about it is don't give it any attention. Just ignore it for the most part, because they want you to fight back. Then they get you caught up in.
Yeah, mine is if you must engage, that's a strategy. But normally I just ignore it, just block and move on or ignore.
You can just cite Shulamit Aloni. She was a former Knesset minister and won some Israeli Person of the Year award. And she stated clearly on this one episode of Democracy Now! That, anti-Semitism, that's a trick that we use to stifle legitimate criticism of Israel. And so it's just resorting to ad hominem, essentially, to try to demoralize you and stop you from just observing and noticing criminal behavior.
She divided that. In Europe, they accuse you of Holocaust denial. In America, they accuse you of anti-Semitism.
Yep.
Right? So it's geography dependent. Now, Victor Ostrovsky, former member of the Mossad, he says that, the Mossad would use the B'nai B'rith to smear people in the media. People, if there was anybody in the media stepping out of line or getting out of line.
The ADL derived from B'nai B'rith, if you recall, right?
Correct.
What's his name? Leo Frank was a member of B'nai B'rith before they developed the ADL.
Right, yeah. In fact, it used to be called the ADL of the B'nai B'rith.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. But the point is that was the organization they would use to smear people as anti-Semites. And he says that's a stink you can't wash off. But he's like, if there's a journalist or somebody popping off or saying things that Israel doesn't like, they'll just get in touch with their B'nai B'rith contacts, and then the B'nai B'rith will conduct a whisper campaign and a public relations campaign.
Look at it, that's Rachel. That's Rachel, the nicest woman in the world, who adopted a Palestinian child who just got his legs blown off, and she literally became the anti-Semite of the month like a couple months ago. So it's like, they'll come at anyone basically against the Jonathan, like Sam said. Sam doing the work. Like I do. I don't care what labels he's on the Congress, doesn't matter to me. But like this one kid, I just called him. Well, I don't even care about what. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I don't exist, make them count. But I just like he'll probably 20 times a week he'll at me and fucking say all this shit, blah blah blah, all this fucking absolute nonsense. But I literally just ignored him. I don't know how this is going. And then I let him speak to JQ when I was on last Saturday morning. So I'll let anyone speak, especially if they're calling me out. I almost say even, hey, you know what, if you think of this and that, then let's have a space about it and talk it out instead of being weekly about it, shit over comments and stuff. But yeah, just ignoring his message, you think no way.
Well, I mean, in 2001, when 9/11 happened, I'm only 19 years old. Everybody is very naive at 19. Nobody understands the history prior to 9/11. So you're innocent. At 9/11, a lot of innocent Americans got wrapped up, but I don't have Israeli derangement syndrome. I've got George Bush and Cheney derangement syndrome. If we want to be self-reflective and personally responsible, I mean, it's Colin Powell and people in our government that let us down. That instead of doing a controlled response to 9/11, we are now $37 trillion in debt with a pandemic, scamdemic to top off 25 years of war. So I'm just saying, you could sit here and blame Jews and Israel all day long, but when it comes to our own government, we live in fucking clown world.
What I would say to that, though, I was going to add one more tip to how to deal with the label Jew hater or whatnot. That's it. First of all, why is it you don't take issue with Jews blaming all Germans collectively, still collecting reparations? Why is it that Jews get to generalize for those they don't like, for those say the Italian mafia, they're saying the mafia, all Italians, to add that stereotype to their good name? Then they have a problem with others, Gentiles, calling out Jews for their criminal activity. Now, again, I have no problem condemning guys like George W. Bush, Dick Cheney, but I mean, look at the people that were surrounding them. They won't mention Paul Wolfowitz or Richard Perle or Scooter Levy, three Jews that were responsible for the foreign policy plan that ensued following 9/11 that took place. And what preceded 9/11 was, of course, the Clean Break memo that was drafted by the State Department. That was by, again, individuals like David Wurmser, again, Richard Perle, and also Doug Fife, three Jews who had the plan to invade Iraq and also Syria. This is in 96. And in 98, you had Richard Bill Crystal and Richard Kagan, two Jews, in addition to Paul Wolfowitz.
That's Robert Kagan, by the Robert Kagan, husband of Victoria
Noodleman. Yeah, Noodleman, who devised, her real name's Noodleman. She changed it. And Kagan is short for Kaganovich. She shortened his name as well. Instead of Lazar Kaganovich, the Bolshevik Jew. So you have all these Jews in charge of the State Department that devise these policies that end up becoming foreign policy for America to get into the wars against countries like Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Libya, and later Yemen, and of course Afghanistan being one, and later on Somalia, Pakistan. So they come up with these plans to destroy these countries, and then they create a psyop, a false flag in 9/11 to be able to justify the war, just like they did with 10/7. So you have to see this strategy of these Jews, and they do get caught a lot too, like with the Levant affair. What was the plan there? To put a bomb certain strategic sites in Egypt, the Jews came down, but they got caught. It didn't happen. So no one's not condemning the treasonous government for lying to get into the Iraq war, but you also have to remember when Benjamin Netanyahu was pushing for that war, and that was the Clean Break memo was actually directed at him. It was really a policy memo that was written for him. He took power in 1996 to do his first term in Israel. So he was the one, and it was Israel that came up with the faulty intelligence claiming that Saddam Hussein had bought yellow cake in Niger. So they provided false evidence to push America into war and also claim there's weapons of mass destruction on point there. So
And then what did Netanyahu say in 9/11? I don't know exactly.
he made the prediction that the towers, that he wrote in his book, that the towers would be destroyed. Just like the rabbi made the claim too, this was in around 1995, 96, like 5 years before. How did they know?
I didn't even know that. I thought he said something like, now the Americans know how we feel or something like that. Something along those lines. And then the way I always say
those American presidents who stood up to global Jewry and paid the price. Richard Nixon paid the price too.
Yeah,
He caused the Watergate. George H.W. Bush never been assassinated.
That's what I heard.
His presidency because he suspended $10 billion of aid to Israel. So whenever American presidents, white American presidents, stand up to global Jewry, they pay the price. But a loss of election or some bullshit scandal, like even Clinton and the Lewinsky affair, because he wouldn't release Charles the Paul, so they publicized the tapes, the Lewinsky tapes, because they were spies on it.
And then all of a sudden it shows how much these Jews truly quote unquote care about us. As soon as you do one thing to go against them, boom, you're Nixon, you're Clinton, you're George Bush Senior, all these things, you're JFK, you're McKinley, and that's why I say like I joke about the don't joke about it. Like the only ticket I would vote for in 2028, and I ain't voting for anyone. I am a political atheist. I am opting out of the system. But the only ticket I mean, Fuentes floated it on Alex Jones like a month ago when he was on Dan Balzerian running. I don't think it's true, but I hope. But the only one, like I say all the time, I'm kind of doing my best to will it into existence. It's not going to happen. I hope it does. Is Dan Balzerian to go ashore in 2028? But then, like I've said in the same breath, if that was to somehow come to fruition, which I truly hope it does, really do, but I don't think it will. But if it did, I don't put it past these motherfuckers. That's why when people say like backup and stuff, I agree with them. And Maddie as well, like Maddie Black, Burp podcast. There really is no political solution. They have this shit on a stranglehold, and if someone rises up that is legitimate enough, they will in 2 seconds do what they have to do because they're not going to give up power. But yeah, it's a good point. And it just, again, like I say all the time too, we bono. That's what we bono. Israel, boom. Got the Greater Israel Project, got America to go to the Middle East, a bunch of fucking millions just dying for Middle Eastern wars for no reason. And again, 22 to 27 veterans committing suicide every day because they're went overseas when they're 19 years old. Their frontal cortex has developed. They said, why am I killing these Muslims for no reason? I have nothing against them. And they come back and realize, oh shit, it was all for history. Or they double down like some frauds like Tim Kennedy and Rick Brooks and say they're this great hero that saved the world. But yeah, it is too. At the end of the day, it is what it is.
Yeah, John, one other tip, since if you want to have a long career in politics, aim for the younger demographic, because they're going to be your voter throughout your career. And a lot of them are anti-Israel, and they understand the Jewish problem much better so than their parents and their grandparents. So keep that in mind. And we know these
Do they
metrics
understand the clown world problem?
Sorry?
Do they understand the clown world problem? The Rashida Tlaibs, the Ilhan Omars. I mean, is this country not inundated with clowns?
Yeah, see, that's where I knew I did. That's where
Let me put in my two
Go ahead,
cents
Heidi,
before
yeah.
my phone dies.
Well, I knew I
Before my
didn't
phone dies, because I've been trying to get up here for a while and it wouldn't let me. John, yeah, you gotta understand, John, because I heard you a little bit ago. Oh, by the way, hi everyone. Here's Keith, Joanne.
Hi.
So yeah, hey, I'm walking around the neighborhood over here. You might hear some birds talking to me. They be tweeting to me. So anyway, yeah, John, I'm listening to what you're saying, right? You gotta fucking remember that they fund both sides of the fucking coin. Both sides are walking like speed walking, like 10,000
exposed on the State Department. Some fucking asshole employees have been allowing these women, pregnant Palestinian women, to come here and have their anchor babies.
I'm talking about this.
On the hiding thing, they do. I've said it for a while. They put these people in pursuit to leave, and you know what I'm not sticking up for them at all. I'm not defending them. I'm not on their side at all. But they put them in places so that people, to be honest, like yourself, John, can say, "Oh, look, what do we do about these dumbasses?" Which they are dumbasses. When we have on Twitter AIPAC openly bragging about owning 98% of our Congress and saying it pays off to be pro-Israel and all this shit. Trump praying at Remy Schneerson's grave on October 7th before he's elected and all this stuff. So that's just like the Dearborn, Michigan thing. Yeah,
John said that he would take AIPAC money, like at the beginning when he just came out. I was like, John, would you take AIPAC money?
Listen, we have $600 in my campaign account. If AIPAC wanted to send me $50,000 to attack a guy that they've already sent $50,000 to, if they're that stupid to give me the money, I'll take their stupid money.
So, John, you can't see America first, right? It's careful. You can't see America first. So, yeah, so this was in 2017, and we're in 2025. Imagine if they let Hamas run around America, right? Arms dealing with a license to do so, and then they get on the fucking Fox News 13 bullshit channel and say they're the enemy.
I don't understand. His driver's license said he was an arms dealer? What are you talking about?
Yes, his driver's license. Because at Big Deal, if you work at the Air Force Base in Tampa, Florida, I don't know where you're from, but in Tampa, Florida, when you come in and out of the Air Force Base, you have to have a legit required license to do so. And he had a MacDill Air Force Base license that said arms dealer. Like, I couldn't believe my eyes. I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, whoa. And I went back to Lisa. I'm like, just don't call the cops. Don't call it. She called them. The cops came. He said, why did you call me for something stupid as a bumper? And he left. That was that. But I'm so glad that it happened that night because I got to see that license. That license. Now, after they took down Syria, the first thing they did is burn down the Passport Immigration Center. So you don't know who's daddy. And they issue IDs from Turkey. In Florida, the Puerto Ricans used to issue IDs to the Cubans. It's very deep. They got both sides of the fucking story. About every operation. And don't forget, George W. Bush took a piece of paper, ripped it, and said, this is what the Constitution is. It's just a damn piece of paper. So I'm with Richard when John Decent, whenever he says, it's way beyond that. Way beyond learning. Way beyond any of that shit. It's time to fucking rock and roll, man. And I'll speak up. I don't give a fuck. I cut in the Purple Hill last night. I was talking to some friends and family in Gaza that I support, and he showed me like 4 pieces of pineapple. They haven't had pineapple in 7 fucking months, and it's down there in the Purple Hill. These motherfuckers haven't had pineapple in 7 months or beans, but the USA government, MacDill Air Force Base, is letting supposed enemies run around with a license, arms dealing license. Fucking make it make sense. Yeah, I'm pissed. But when I walk, things in my mind just get, you think more like when you're walking and talking, and I don't even know.
So what do you think was at George Bush Sr.'s funeral when they passed around those notes? You know, I've always wondered, what do you think the secret message was that George Bush Sr. wanted people to know at his funeral?
I don't know. That seems like a QAnon psyop to me, to be honest. Because for a little while, I was never a QAnon person, but for a little while, it was like, okay, all right, that is pretty interesting. But I think that was like in my opinion, now that I look back on the QAnon thing, to make everybody think like, oh shit, here they go, it's coming. Trump's gonna come in, they're gonna lock everybody up again, and we're gonna MAGA, blah blah blah. Hillary's gonna be in Guantanamo, look at their faces. And I mean, at the end of the day, some of them are like Pam Bondi's literally on IMDb. She's a literal actress on IMDb, and a lot of them are actors or actresses. I mean, Anna Paulina Luna, whatever her real name is, former stripper, all that. I think that was one of the ones though that I will say though that was pretty convincing at first. It was like, what the fuck, but nothing's come of it. So I think it was just another psyop to get people believing and buying into the 5D QAnon. Trump's going to come in and arrest everybody. He's got them all scared and did this whole thing over the last couple of years, whether it's fucking with, what's her name, Eugene Carroll, the wacko lady that said Trump raped or whatever. Yeah, it seems like he's pretty bad in doing that, but I doubt it was her. But they did that on purpose with her because she was a fucking whack job crazy lady they put out there. So everyone, even the people on the left, were like, shit, maybe even Trump is being persecuted. And then they did all these Jack Smith ones, and I fully believe this now. Some people disagree, but I fully believe it. 1, 2, 3 cases, he gets Mar-a-Lago raided, all this stuff. He's got to go to jail. He's got to go to Fannie Willis. He's got to go to Atlanta, Georgia, Fulton County. He's got to go to Rikers Island with Letitia James for all these cases that are brought up. And oh, he's this big bad guy, and they're coming to get him. And then Flynn's on his side, and Roger Stone, the 3 Avengers, are fighting the deep state. They're fighting all these guys, all this. Well, Roger Stone literally in 2015 or 2016 looked up, I forget, whatever he looked up 2 weeks before, I think Russiagate came out. He's on Google typing stuff in. He's obviously linked up with Jews and Netanyahu and many other things, and goes back to Nixon, obviously, and with that whole QAnon psyop shit, Flynn's Unit 8200, among other things. But all of a sudden, just magically, just right before Trump gets the election rolls around, right before, just poof, Letitia James drops the case, Fannie Willis gone, Jack Smith, all these DOJ things, boom, poof, 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 and then the fake assassination, which I didn't think was fake, really, for the most part. I thought it was sketchy until that video that just came out recently where the guy's ushering the cameraman right in front of the fucking thing and pointing cameras at Trump as the flag dips down in the back. It was just all along, and they did a good job, just like the pandemic. They hit us hard. They did a great job building up Trump and saying, hey, he's this hero. He's fighting everybody. Look at all these people hate him and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden he gets elected and he's sitting there with Obama and they're laughing, having a good old time. So that's without a doubt what that was for a while. The thing with, like you're talking about, again, that seems like, I think that's what it was. That was the one that seemed most believable to me, but nothing's happened from it. So it's just more, they're all on the same side, obviously, at the end of the day. All these quote-unquote elites are on the same side, and they just play us off each other.
So you don't think Michael Crooks actually got a shot off on Trump's ear? You think that whole thing was staged?
I don't know if Crooks did or not, to be honest, exactly. I don't know that much, but I'll throw the thing and I'll DM it to you just in case you can't see the nest. Sometimes people can't. I'll throw it in the front of the nest because it's...
I've seen the video of the camera people, getting in the front, but that to me seems like that's what camera people would do. That's what I would do if I had my cell phone. I'd want to film it,
Well, yeah, with the cell phones, I mean, I threw it in the front of the nest if anyone hasn't seen it. If you have a cell phone, I get it, yeah, but the fact that these people are literally ushered right in front of him by Trump's little, whatever, not Secret Service, whatever the fuck, manager guys or whatever they are, that they're ushered right in front of him, and like I've talked about before, I mean, obviously the flag dropping back perfectly in the background as he's on the ground. I didn't think I was down the middle because, this guy, Corey Competier, died, unfortunately, and rest in peace.
How
But the
come
whole
you
thing
don't scar on his
happened.
ears if that was real, if bullets supposedly...
Yes, exactly. And now there's no scar, and then when you look at this video more and more, they were on the ground for so long. I mean, he was that, I don't want to say a pro wrestler, but he was a wrestler and stuff. And like I've said before, it's in the comments, the thing that really sticks out to me the most besides the flag is, because I agree with you, anyone with a camera phone in the audience, yeah, they're going to do that. But these people that are ushered by this little fucking minion guy in the front, the Secret Service is with an AR-15. And if anyone knows anything about law enforcement, because people are trying to say, oh, well, those guys were already cleared, the cameramen. It does not fucking matter. If there is bullets actively flying around the president, and you are going to go directly in front of the president and point a camera literally 3 feet away from his face, that could be in today's day and age with technology, that could have a bullet inside of it and shoot him right in the head. And the Secret Service agent staring right the fuck at him as they take that picture. Then they get ushered off to the side when he's coming off the steps, and they take another picture. It's just not going to happen. I mean, I know law enforcement. I've asked them about it. Then I already know myself. They would, that Secret Service agent in front that stares right at them would say, get the fuck on the ground right now before I shoot you in the fucking face, because you're not going to point something at the president. I don't know who the hell you are. There's bullets flying left and right. The threat hasn't been neutralized yet because the snipers didn't take him out yet. So with the Crooks thing, I don't know. It was weird. I mean, he obviously, I don't know if he got shots off of someone else, whatever it was, but then they obviously had no silverware. His whole apartment was clean. They cremated his body like Bin Laden. But it was another thing, and then these Jews, I've seen Jewish people talk about the ritual where you get your right ear nicked or whatever, which I don't even think it did, but whatever, the symbolism of it means they're our guy and stuff. And it's crazy to think, and then, unfortunately, Corey Competir died. If he did, I don't want to go that far down the rabbi hole and say he didn't. But then there's more of the gematria shit, which I don't even like, but the Jews do follow it, and Trump gets up and he yells, fight, 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 right? 3 things in a row, fight, fight, fight. There's your 666. Corey Competir there's 333 right there, the firefighter who died. And then they misspelled his name at the RNC, which was weird. But after seeing that, the flag dip, the cameramen, and then, like I said, all the other things. And then you know what it was too, honestly, to add on to that? Everyone jumped on board then. Elon, Mark Andreessen, the PayPal Mafia, David Sachs, all these people jumped on board and said, well, I got to support Trump now. I got to support him. Everybody's got to support him. So it's like they all knew. They were waiting for it. CNN was there for like the first time. It was the first rally they covered in forever. The whole Crooks thing makes no sense too because the motherfucker's walking around the roof for like 30 minutes. There's hammered people like in the audience like, hey, that guy's got a fucking AR up there. What's going on? Hey, cops, you want to do anything about this? Literally fucking like hammered like in the video. They're like, bro, that guy got a gun? Holy shit, he's got a gun. Hey, Secret Service agent. Like, what? What's going on? The window behind him was supposed to have security. So I don't know who took the shot, but it was another way to build up Trump to make him be this god-like figure in QAnon and MAGA's eyes, which he has become in certain ways. And luckily people are seeing through it now, but it's just because I don't like to go down the rabbit hole of everything's fake and rigged. But a lot of
don't forget,
are.
Zuckerberg went on Joe Rogan immediately after and said that was the most badass thing I've ever seen. And that was after he had his falling out. And then he had an apology tour with Trump. So, Zuckerberg platformed Fauci for countless months, for years, encouraging everybody to get the COVID-19 vaccine through Meta. So there's Al Capone was brought down by the IRS, and I think a lot of these billionaires who do nonprofit charities to essentially avoid paying any income tax, they should be brought down in the same way that Al Capone was brought down.
I agree. I've maintained this for a while. I agree because I've said for a while because people did that. People fell for that side up. Like, oh, Zuckerberg's taking testosterone and he's based now because he got a haircut. And I've said the exact same thing as you. The exact same thing. I said, I don't give a fuck what he's done. He banned myself off of Facebook. He banned millions of people off of Facebook. My grandparents died from the quote-unquote vaccine. My mom took 2. I hope she's going to be fine. My dad took 5. Like I say all the time, my friends one of them has tinnitus. One of them has AFib, wears a fucking pacemaker. I have another friend who's a nurse who had 2 miscarriages. And people bought that psyop. I hate it. Mark Zuckerberg has so much fucking blood in his hands, it's not even fucking funny. And Rogan and them revitalized his image and said, oh, he's based now. He's a good guy. He's riding on jet skis with the American flag. He's so cool. He's our guy. It's like, no, he literally is just as much responsible as people like Rachel Walensky, not as much as Fauci. He's a monster. But I agree in that part because I hate how people fell for that. He literally censored everything while the vaccine was coming out, killing everybody. You couldn't even say the word vaccine. And because of that, my fucking grandparents are dead. 700,000 Americans, like me and Truth talk about all the time, 20 to 25 billion worldwide because of people like him. So yeah, fuck him.
Well, he can do his little sailboard around Hawaii all he wants, build his doomsday bunker. But, I take some reprieve in knowing he's married to one ugly, stupid bitch. And him and his ugly, stupid bitch wife, Priscilla Chen, they built an anti-inflammation $150 billion nonprofit in Chicago because they got a guilt complex for the fucking poison that they mass spammed across the country on their spam ad network, known as Meta Fake Book.
Don't worry, John. Every Satan minions have their day. Don't worry. You can't even fish in Hawaii because they're still finding contaminants from the Fukushima. And one day, maybe a tsunami will come and take his shit away. See, all about the material things. These people are all about material. And they think they're going to get away with it. And they won't.
Well, nobody escapes this. Everybody goes through the same gate at the very last day. And I just know that, when he goes through there, he's going to have to hang his head in shame because he's a little bitch.
Yep. Sam, I DM'd you earlier. I don't know if you got it. I just wanted to make sure, see if you did, because I don't know how it works when people don't follow each other. But get back to me whenever you get a chance. Truth, you want to say something? I don't see anything. Let me swipe.
No, Prashant's been waiting a while. So
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. I wrote down a couple of notes. That Massey and
diligent thing, that concerns me. I'm going to have to listen to that because I'm personally not too fond of Diligent given his ongoing support of Trump's crimes, even though he seems like some of them he doesn't like right now. So I'm going to have to listen to that and try to make sense of it because it doesn't feel good to me that Massey went with Diligent, but that's a small point. The other point, a couple of points I wanted to make was anti-Semite. I got a real easy answer for the anti-Semite, and some of you may or may not like this, but my best friend for many years, and he's here in Hawaii with me now, he's a Jewish lawyer. He was a former deputy district attorney from Los Angeles for many years, and I text with him most days and talk with him on the phone most days. And he's my best friend, literally in Hawaii, and he's a surf buddy, although he's too fat to surf now. But so when people tell me I'm an anti-Semite, I say, well, tell that to my best friend here, Jewish lawyer and former deputy DA of Los Angeles. So I guess that doesn't fit too well, does it? But and then the third point I wanted to make was vaccines, and I know this beyond a shadow of a doubt because I traveled around the country with RFK's gang and Del Bigtree and Holly Tommy and Brian Hooker for 3 or 4 years to the CDC and to Washington, D.C. and to Sacramento and to Los Angeles. So it's not 72 vaccines, it's 72 doses of a much smaller number of vaccines. And if you say 72 vaccines, they'll slam you because it's just not accurate. It's 72 doses of quite a lot smaller number of vaccines.
How many doses were there in the 1970s?
Yeah, well, I was going to get to that point. And it wasn't in the 1970s, there were almost no doses. But the key year is 1986 because that's when, who was it? Reagan signed the act to take all liability away from the vaccine makers. So the big change year was 1986. That's when it went from almost none to a massive amount of doses. So make sure that when you talk about that you say it's doses and not vaccines. But it may be only 12 or 16 vaccines, but it's 72 doses. And the other point I wanted to make about the vaccines is the World Health Organization a few years ago, they did a meeting on vaccine hesitance, and there were members from all over the world at that meeting. And the host of the meeting, there were two hosts, a guy and a woman does most of the speaking. This is absolutely what this woman said at that meeting. You can probably find a video of that meeting by going to the WHO and looking for it. A meeting on vaccine hesitance. And what the woman said, she said it, the woman who talked most in this meeting more than anybody else, kind of the MC of the meeting, she said to the whole group, all over the world, the World Health Organization said, we put ourselves in a very dangerous place. That's the first thing she said. And she said, we put ourselves in a very dangerous place because we have substituted natural immunity for vaccine immunity. Now translate that. You can't translate that for yourself. I'll translate it. But essentially what she admitted is that natural immunity is much better than vaccines. And we put ourselves, as she said, in a very dangerous place because we've substituted vaccines for natural immunity. She said it, I didn't say it, she said it to people from all over the world. But she admitted that natural immunity was better and that we're in a dangerous place because we've substituted for vaccines. Another thing she said in that meeting, beyond a shadow of a doubt, none of the vaccines, the current schedule, none of
liberated Kuwait or whatever, we liberated Kuwait. There was like when Americans were going down the streets, American soldiers or whatever, like all these Kuwaitis were just waving American flags. Everyone's waving American flags, cheering on the soldiers and everything. And I mean, they were probably happy to be quote unquote liberated, whatever. I don't know the situation too well. But when you stop and think about it, like, you know, at first glance, people don't stop thinking about it, rightfully so. They just see it like, oh wow, they're happy. But it's like, wait, how would all these motherfucking Kuwaitis, like hundreds of thousands of them, just get little tiny American flags to wave around, like, you know, to make the Americans think that, hey, we're doing a good job, we're liberating people, so we want to keep going to the Middle East, and, you know, hey, don't go against the war, this is great, look at the Kuwaitis are happy. And then, like John Kiriaki said, he knew the guy, or some guy, he asked some guy, he said, hey, how did they get all those? And the guy said, what do you mean, for me? He's like, what are you talking about? He's like, I'm the minister of propaganda or whatever, whatever it is. He's like, oh, I forgot, that's your title. He's like, what do you mean exactly though? He's like, I was the one we bought like 250,000 tiny American flags. We handed them out to everybody. We said, stand on the side of the street and wave our American soldiers by and act like you're happy about everything that's going on. It just goes to the point of just how much our government just little things like that. You always stop and it's like, wow, that's so crazy to think about. Because the average person will not think about it, rightfully so. We'll just see it and be like, oh, well, I guess they're happy we're there. And like I said, they might have been, they might have not been. But that whole thing was just, like you said, they played both sides off each other, got a nice free war out of it. Again, we bono Israel because Iraq is slowly overthrown, like Sam said earlier. It's just all about balkanization. It really is. Syria, Libya, Lebanon are trying to do it too. Iraq, obviously, and they've done it slowly but surely. And here we are, the Greater Israel Project's a couple months away, possibly. I don't know what's going on. We'll see. But yeah, it is wild. But yeah, you're right. I forget what it was called, but Bush and Cheney authorized them to just wipe out like 60,000 Iraqi soldiers that had no means to defend themselves. It was called like the highway to hell. They just support a lot of them.
And lest we forget, don't forget the daughter of the ambassador or something in Kuwait telling us all about the incubator babies and the Iraqi soldiers throwing them out on the floor. Complete lie.
Another one, yeah. It's always babies. They always use babies in ovens, and babies in incubators, and then I forget what it is, something else. It's always babies, always.
How do you have babies?
What'd you say, Joe? Sorry.
The 40 beheaded babies.
Yeah, exactly. 40 beheaded babies in ovens. Even the Beavis twins a couple months ago, they said, oh, Hamas strangled these Beavis twins, the babies or whatever, and they killed them, blah, 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 big bad Hamas. And it's like, well, number one, logic doesn't add up, because why would they strangle babies? Like, if they were going to kill them, they'd just fucking shoot them, unfortunately. But they didn't. Their family came out like a couple days later and like, no, that's a lie. You guys bombed them to smithereens like a couple weeks after they got taken hostage. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Of course, they got shut up, just like the poor IDF tank women soldiers that got released. One of them was like staring at the Hamas guys, and then they come back and they're battered when they went in somehow. And they're like, yeah, they're awesome to us. They're actually like really friendly. And then within like a week, they completely changed their story. Like, oh, actually, they're the devils. We need to go back in there. Never mind, nobody knows that Hamas offered, obviously, on October, I think, 8th, 9th, and 10th to return the hostages because they're trying to just do a hostage swap. They've offered probably 15 plus times since then to return the hostages. And then Yahoo says no every time. Bezalel Smotrich snuck it in like 2 months ago, like quietly. Not many people picked up on it. I've talked about it a few times. He said, like, I think it was right before the Iran war, right when it was happening. He's like, well, our focus is now shifted to the Iran war, and we no longer care about the hostages. They're not they're not in our attention anymore, or whatever. Basically admitting what we all know the whole time, because if they got the hostages back, then they can't keep genociding the Palestinians, because everyone's like, well, what the hell? And even like Sam talked about before, you know, a lot of the stuff with these anti-Zionist protests, quote-unquote good Jews in Israel that are protesting against the genocide, it's like, well, you know, you're sitting in Tel Aviv, and you know, some of them probably are good Jews here, but you're sitting in Tel Aviv, why don't you go down to the border and actually try to stop these Jewish supremacist settlers, or just whatever, these fanatical Jews that just go and take all the aid trucks and just smash it on the ground or break it up so they can't bring it into Gaza and give it to the starving people that are there. But anyway, I digress on that. It's just extremely frustrating. Trump's just going to let it all happen because he doesn't give a fuck. As he said before, just hurry it up, get it over with.
Have you guys noticed that all of the Zionist propagandists, they only post the
or they admitted that was a complete fake. What's his name? Marcus Luttrell admitted, yeah, they just came to me when I was in the hospital and said, here you go, we made a whole fucking Hollywood movie on you that Mark Wahlberg's gonna star in. Just sign your name. He said, all right, sounds good.
Yeah, they made a Hollywood movie on 911 and caught it. The Last Kiss Goodnight with Samuel L. Jackson and Gina Davis. They were destructive to shoot buildings. They shot one building in Times Square, New York. Oh, we'll just blame it on the Muslims. It's right in that movie. Last Kiss Goodnight, Samuel L. Jackson and Gina Davis. So I don't know what Candace said, but I've been in the know that way before Candace came on the scene. So yeah, all of the movies. And Idiocracy is a very good one too. And Idiocracy shows you how they poison your water, and how
so many other ones.
Yeah.
I mean, there was what's it called?
And one really good one, and I'll land. I swear to God, I'll land after.
No, take it.
Rat.
You're right.
Rat race. Nobody caught this one. Not even Kitover and a whole bunch of also Jews of rat race. And there's big sagas and all kind of rich millionaires sitting on the penthouse in the casino, tell these people that there's a bag of money in a locker, go get it. And I think Hitler was even in that movie. Did like a cameo in that movie. It's called Rat Race. It shows you how they get you all distracted to follow that materialism and to follow that money bag, while they take everything from you from there. And when they show the people the penthouse, like the sort of like the leaders we have now, they show how they think you're human and how they're laughing at your ass. It's very dehumanizing in every sort of way a human being can ever feel. I mean, they can't really feel the way that Palestinians feel, the Gazans feel. But yeah, it's dehumanization, ritual, banking on your memory loss.
Yeah, I got a jet. I just gotta interject real quick because I got a jet. So thanks for having me. Good to hear Heidi there at the end, and I'll see you Saturday, Keith.
Sounds good, brother. Glad you saw
Thank you so much for your comments, man.
Talk to you guys later.
Yeah, Sam, thanks for coming on. Have a good night.
Yeah, it's karmic retribution. It's all stuff that they, revelation and that, whatever you want to call it, tell you what they do. And Ryan Sikorsky is welcome me up to this more so. Because it is both things I believe, where it's because they're a Satanist and they want to get their karma up off them. Because if they tell you what they're going to do and then you go along and do it, then they're like, well, the thing I've always used before, if you're selling apples and then Heidi comes along to buy an apple and it's a poisoned apple and I sell it to her and poison her, then I poison her. But if I write poisoned apples, then she buys one and poisons herself. It's like, well, you knew what it was beforehand. But they also do it to get people's consent because it's in the back of their mind, all these things, just like weird things like fucking Neos and the Matrix, passport expires on 9/11 somehow, and then Contagion and all these things where, whatever, I Am Legend, all these movies about viruses and this and that, and then all of a sudden, boom, pandemic here, right into it.
You just reminded me of one thing that I have to say when we're talking about passports. Keith, do you know, just for a regular, normal citizen, not of Jewish descent, how long does it take to get a U.S. passport delivered to you when you first apply for it?
I do not know actually because I've never had one, but I'm gonna need to buy one soon because I'm going
About 3 to 4 weeks, so about a month.
Okay, that'd be good. I need to.
But if you're a Jewish descent, guess how long it takes you to get a passport?
271,000 seconds. Yeah, probably.
We're close, but 3 days, like opposed to 3 weeks. So you see how they're trying to even make it difficult for Americans to leave.
Yeah, that's damn. I'm writing that down in my notes. Yeah, see, there you go. There it is, right there. Little simple things like that. That I'm actually now I need to. I'm glad you said that because I'm going to Vegas and things like that. My friends and my buddy coaches for the Raiders and going in November 17th, I think. But because you need a real ID now, thank you Donald Trump and fucking Christino, you need a real ID, which is related to 2030, so they can tie everything into you with their lovely Palantir credit score. I will not be getting that, even though my dad already got it. He's like, just fucking get it, dude. $100, not that big of a problem. Like, I'm gonna explain it to you. You can get the password.
6 to 8 weeks, but you have to pay extra to expedite it to 2 to 3 weeks. See,
oh, so, there you go. So you gotta pay.
Yeah, so it's been longer. I'm just giving you the if you pay extra, you can get it in 2 to 3 weeks. If you don't, you gotta wait at least 2 months. But if you're the Israeli
smart enough to build a wall when they saw that the world was falling apart, and that's just like one example. Like even the movie like Saving Private Ryan, where like the Germans are vilified, especially that scene where the German soldier. It's just like all of these movies, if you're not able to like kind of see past the curtain, like the Wizard of Oz kind of thing, that it just basically controls you in every single kind of way. If you're not seeing past the bigger picture, and it's all government controlled, and most normies just think, oh, it's a Hollywood movie, like it's entertainment. Like, bro, what are you talking about? That's conspiracy theory. Yeah, sure. Like Columbia Pictures is owned by the CIA. All these other big studios are owned by like we all know that the Jews control Hollywood, and they've been creating these narratives since the 1930s. And I mean, they've been in control prior to that when the Zionist Congress was created in the 1880s. So it's just like a lot of fucking what's the word for it? Like you gotta break.
You gotta break the program itself. But you're right. I mean, because we all know who owns Hollywood and stuff, and you're dead on. I mean, that's why I threw it up a message on the Candace one. She just was one that opened my eyes to when I first saw it. And again, people behind Transformers, but then they're behind everything. Behind Blows About Her, behind Black Hawk Down, behind Saving Private Ryan. Now, obviously, all the Spielberg, all these Jewish, whatever Spielberg is, director, whatever he is, directors and stuff. They're all behind it because what do they need? They need to galvanize. There was one that came out recently, whatever, I forget, something about another war in the Middle East and stuff. And then, I mean, there's a bunch of really good, and they're always usually the best movies. A bunch of damn, like Black Hawk Down's a fucking damn good movie, but they just glamorize it, obviously, and then make young Gentiles, unfortunately, because they're young and impressionable. You know, I don't blame them at all, including myself when I was younger, and like, hey, shit, I'll sign up for the military. You know, that's badass, that's patriotic. And they just get everybody, and you're dead on. There was so many people do that. Well, come on, bro, you can't go that deep down the rabbi hole, as I call it, teen silent. But, you know, come on, not everything's silent. It's like, no, it is. And it's funny you say that because I was watching, I gotta finish it off later when I'm done on Spaces. Sam Tripoli was on Rogan recently. I started watching it. He is the best. I love Sam Tripoli. I need to actually listen to him more because he was cooking on so many things. He was even talking about like Zeppelin and blimps and stuff. I forget what it was, but then he was talking, right out the gate, they talked about how all these planes have been crashing, all these plane things have been going on, and how that thing that happened a couple months ago, I think it was under right before Biden left office, with that helicopter hitting that plane in DC and then crashing in the river, which is like a sacrifice or something, a Holocaust sacrifice or whatever. But all these planes are falling out of the sky left and right, Boeing whistleblowers left and right, whether they're dying or surviving, and talking about in video, James O'Keefe inside Boeing, and they're like, yeah, we just basically put duct tape on the fucking thing, let it fly. And it's all, and Rogan like does a good job of playing ignorant, which is aggravating. I actually don't hate Rogan as much as I hate like people like Tucker, because I know Tucker has an agenda. I know he's gonna push shady bans on us. I know he's gonna push China. I know he's basically pro-Israel and all this stuff. Rogan's just obviously a stoner, but he is funded by Teal and other people. He knows what's going on because he kind of shut Sam down, but not much. But he's like, you really think you're like, you know, crashing planes and stuff on purpose? And Sam Tripoli's like, yeah, dude. Like Agenda 2030 and 15-minute cities and smart cities, they don't want anybody traveling. They definitely don't want people flying around the world. So all of a sudden now, left and right, these fucking planes are just falling out of the sky. And then Sam Tripoli's also dead on. I've said it a lot the last couple months. They want to blame DEI. That's why they put in DEI, so then they can blame it, and then they can inflame both sides and have white people, especially MAGA people, be like, oh, these fucking dumb niggas, these dumb whatever, black people, blah, blah, blah. Whereas a lot of the time it's manufactured accidents, whatever, or what they do is they do a good job of setting the conditions for things. They take away a few people out of control towers, so there's not enough staff or whatever. Then planes are, you know, you got FedEx planes almost hitting commercial airliners. You got like South Dakota recently, there was a fucking like beef or So like you said, in the meantime, make money, demonize people like the quote-unquote Nazis and all this stuff, and then demonize Muslims and say, yeah, see, look, every movie's about a Muslim. What's the other one? Yeah, American Sniper with Chris Kyle and with Bradley Cooper, another great movie, where it's just Muslims running around left and right. Make the awesome Americans go and kill everybody and all this stuff, but yeah, it's wild.
Well, you sure? Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Oh, yeah, you brought up something that caught my interest about the Trump assassination. I really haven't looked into it. I mean, with so many available waking hours and so many Jew problems, you gotta kind of pick and choose it. But you said about the cameraman pointing the camera right in his face with the Secret Service person. That sparked my interest on that, and it also made me think of something else I've never heard.
I think you did a video where you've seen it, right?
I did it after the show.
You don't even need to, let me do it. I'll throw it back.
Oh, awesome.
Because you don't need to just listen to it. It doesn't, you don't need the volume. It's only 50 seconds. You'll see within the first 10 seconds what's going on. But
thank you. No, thank you. I want to see that. And then, I'm sure this had been thought of or brought up. I've never heard in my whole life. JFK assassination, we had. But I call this guy the prequel of the dancing Israeli Abraham Ford, whatever the Jew who filmed it on the 8mm.
Zapruder.
Now, here it is. He never flinched. Right? 3 words. There you go. Right place, right time, flying kite. Pull off that. He never flinched. Right there, dancing Israelis. I'm surprised that was never brought up. I caught that off of something you just said about the cameraman. The Secret Service guy with a fuck-off flip. And then, for some reason, I'm just thinking JFK getting shot. And we know, even if it was on a fucking tripod, it was moving with his hand, so the kite cannot do it. It was on a tripod with this, but no. Never flinched. I mean, Jude, I've never hit dancing Israelis in 1963. Anyway, that's my thought.
No, that's why I love these conversations, because little things like that connect to his point. Like you said, again, to my point, your point is bullets are flying. I don't know how Zapruder can sit there and that, never mind the fact that the fucking 220 stories of towers disappeared, disintegrated into thin air, but if you take them one at a time, 110 stories each, disintegrated into thin air within, I think it's 8.8 seconds that the towers, which is the thickest steel on top of the thickest steel, inside of the thickest steel, disintegrated into thin air. The smoking gun by far is to the right side at like a minute and 25 seconds. There's like a 70-story tall piece of the tower that's still standing. In conventional wisdom and physics say that that piece of the tower would fall over sideways and would crash a bunch of the buildings to the left or to the right, whichever way it falls. But instead, as people can see, if you go to a minute 25, they put an arrow on it, it just boom, it just fucking disappears into thin air. And I have no doubt now from all the research I've done that it was, they call it, I don't know what a cold and hot directed energy weapon difference is, but they call it cold directed energy weapon because there was cars burned all around there, everywhere. I believe there was like fucking, either way, there was 110 stories.
Thermite detonators, crisscross.
Or like, I don't know, 20 to 25, 30 stories high. It was only up to the lobby high that was left over. Like, when you watch the building disintegrate in that video up top, it just, that steel just disintegrated. And that cannot be done by thermite. It obviously cannot be done by planes.
You don't think it was thermite detonators?
But they did something. And also, there's a hurricane I posted about. There was a hurricane off of the fucking coast. It was about to hit New York City, but just before it did, it got pushed out to sea. There's it's insane. Like, there was a massive hurricane going directly towards New York City, and then the day of 9/11, right before or the night before, it takes a hard right and basically bangs a right towards Nova Scotia because they either use some type of weather modification or some type of energy. But you cannot disintegrate a building into dust without some type of technology. We all know that Darwin on them are 40, 50 years ahead of us, and that was one of the first times I used it. And it's a rabbit hole I've been going down a lot more recently because I already knew about it, but it's just fascinating how much it applies to. And the thing about, like, they say, oh, they have the Israeli, whatever, T-93 or whatever inside the building. Yeah, that actually, from all the research that I've done recently, that is because, and I know it sounds crazy, I wasn't one that believed it, but people said it was Project Movie, and it wasn't planes. I know people said they saw it there, but there's been serious evidence to say that the way the plane was coming was going like 500 plus miles an hour, the tail fin would have sheared off. And I know it sounds crazy because I wasn't there, so planes guy, but I believe there wasn't in those, where the planes hit was right where those facade people were laying the, whatever, in the fucking elevator shaft before the painters, or whatever the hell they were, before the towers got hit. And that is basically probably what the hell ever did hit the building. And multiple planes that did hit the building, those bombs went off, and then it looked like the plane hit it, and then of course everyone thinks the plane took it down, or bombs hit. Thermite cannot make steel disintegrate into thin air. It's not possible. Never mind, they talked about what else should have done. They've done collapses of stadiums or whatever, and it has like a Seattle Stadium like 10, 20, 30 years ago, had like a 2.2 on the Richter scale, and that was like a quarter of the weight of the Twin Towers, and when the Twin Towers fell, it was like a 1.1 or something on the Richter scale. It barely even registered, so that doesn't make sense either. Never mind, again, there was cars all around the place that were burned, like, what you call it, like fucking, like Hawaii and Lahaina and everything. So it's some crazy ass shit, I know it is, but it's stuff that needs to be looked into because we've been lied to so much, and there ain't no damn way that a building, that 110-story building can disintegrate with thermite in fucking 8.8 seconds or something like that. And again, the thing on the side, 70 stories tall, the building's already gone. Why does it just disintegrate poof into dust?
Well, that's the giveaway.
Why does it just go
The 8 seconds is the free fall speed of gravity. So when you do thermite cuts into the solid steel structure and you turn it into dust, it falls at the speed of fucking gravity. And same with World Trade Center 7. Office furniture fires literally demolished a solid steel skyscraper. It's the biggest lie and biggest, it's not even a psyop. It's just fucking common sense that World Trade Center 7 was thermite detonated that day. And the World Trade Centers were also most likely thermite detonated. Yeah, 100% pull. You can look at any other controlled demolition. It's the exact same thing.
The other one though, there's been all fun things. I forget what it is, but if it falls at whatever, like there was a demolition that wasn't a directed energy weapon through thermite or whatever. There's something about called pancaking effect where it would take longer to fall and then it wouldn't take 8.8 seconds. I forget what it was, what Judy would have said, but I forget what the review to that is because I want to be sure what I'm saying. I'll have to look it up again. But World Trade Center 7, yeah, that was obviously, and then that's why they put people in two camps. That's why this revisionist or visit 9/11 thing does a good job. Although they're crybabies about Jews having an influence in it, but whatever, I can still take their word for what it is. And Judy Wood's the only person who's never been interviewed. She's got like a master's degree and a bachelor's degree in like 6 different things that are all specialties on this. And World Trade Center 7, yeah, 100% not an office fire. That's insane. I don't know why Ryan Dawson of all people thinks it was that. That's just, I don't even know why they took it down, I think, for other reasons, but that one's obvious. But thermite, 100%, I'll prove it eventually. That's why I'm going to dive deeper into it so I can know exactly what I'm talking about. It does not make 110 stories of steel disappear into thin air and just go poof and not land on the ground and stack up 30, 40, 50 stories high like they're supposed to. It just sits there. It's just gone. Everything's just gone. Dust. Boom. Then they somehow find the fucking passports somehow. It just.
Well, don't forget.
Didn't we let China come in and take all that steel?
That's what they say, but that's part of the psyop as well. They say, oh, China came in, they took the steel and everything, but that's been disproven because they weren't there fast enough. They wouldn't be able to remove all of that steel. And there's guys that were there, firefighters and reporters and stuff that were there. Even George Stephanopoulos, who was a propagandist, was pushing out a lot of propaganda that day. They were there immediately. They're like, there was nothing there. There was nothing on the ground. There's something too. I forget what it was about desks, toilets, like all these things that should have like been there, or whatever. I think that it's one of the two. I forget. There should have been there. They weren't there, or the other way. Either way. There's also guys that were in like the stairwells that if it was the pancake effect, would have been dead. There were like 6 or 8 firefighters that were on different levels of the stairwells, from like level 4 to like level 16 or whatever, or higher. And they said that they just remember it collapsing, and all of a sudden they looked up and thought they were in heaven because they saw a blue sky. But then they were like, wait, I'm alive. How the hell am I alive? This fucking tower just fell on top of me. So if it was a demolition, it would have fell on top and it would have killed everybody below it. But the fucking thing, as you can see in the video up top, it just turns to dust in midair. It's just poof, poof, disappears. 100% disappears into thin air. Nothing, no steel. And that was the thickest steel in the world. Again, inside of on top of the thickest steel, which is inside of it, and then more steel inside of there. It's absolutely insane, but you know, they my word for it. Those guys that come there and research it, anyone can research it themselves and look into it. That's where I got it from. It's just, it's crazy we've been lied to. But that's where they put us in, oh, it's flames, this and that, and then the Larry Silverstein thing, because he's a Jew, that plays to as well, where he says, yeah, I said bullet. So then everyone rightfully goes to, oh, well, 100%, there was bombs and everything, and there was thermite, this and that, and you would need, I forget what they did, you would need like 600 gazillion pounds of thermite to do what happened there, and then you would need it all to go off at one time. And then the firefighters, rightfully so, they said, oh, well, I heard explosions and stuff, but the thing I was watching the day on it, talking to debunks that, talking about how there's fire extinguishers, there's like toilets and stuff, or bathrooms, there's pressurized tanks and stuff, because when you see the building falling, there's like windows that are getting shot out before that, and people are saying, well, that's explosions going off early, but no, that's just pressure, just cool.
No, that is part of the controlled demolition.
I heard a first-hand account of someone who was in the building, and when the plane hit, I guess all the impact from the impact of the plane that shot through the elevator shaft was blowing all the freaking elevator doors wide open, and it was like nothing but hot, intense flames coming through with the fuel. And he said that some people that were standing in front of the door of the elevator on that floor was just instantly like lit up, like instantly charred.
Don't forget Shanksville, the Pentagon were fakes too. Those were rockets.
2 days ago, he said actually the thermite thing, but he responded to me through in front of us and said, "This what does 100 pounds of thermite look like in action look like?" And he threw it up in front of us. It's whatever he says. And then Stu had somebody on about it a while ago, I guess, because he's a thing now. But it's and all these experts they do it just like the JFK thing and with everything. They make an industry out of it where everybody's an expert in this and that, and they get platform, but they don't platform for one woman, Judy Wood. The only person who talks about her once was PBD. He asked a couple people, but they don't platform her. Then the one who wrote a book on it called Where the Towers Go, which I've read and did for part of the documentary, like an hour and a half long documentary. Where did the fucking towers? Where did 220 stories of steel go? It just doesn't make sense. And then this is what I was talking about. So there's 50,000 filing cabinets, 500 toilets and sinks, missing tables, chairs, computers. I believe all of them just somehow that's what it was. All of them just so 50,000 filing cabinets, 500 toilets and sinks, missing tables, chairs, people, computers. There was paper everywhere, but all that stuff just disappeared. 50,000 file cabinets, never mind vending machines, all this stuff. So if that was an explosion from thermite or whatever, or in a controlled demolition, then there would be pieces of toilets and pieces of porcelain toilets, pieces of filing cabinets, pieces of vending machines all over the place, but everything just literally fucking disappeared into thin air. And again, the real smoking guns, that thing at like a minute 25, 70-story tall thing that is still standing after one of the towers falls, and it somehow just fucking literally turns to dust in midair. It should tip over and take out like the whole block around it, but it just goes bye-bye out of nowhere. The amount of stuff that was in there.
It's a picture perfect replica of a controlled demolition. Haven't you seen how buildings go down? They don't fall over; they literally pancake, and that's what happened.
Keith, there's something else. Can I? Yeah, go ahead. I recall that day. Now, what you said, everyone looked at that. They call it the spear, whatever. It's as Keith says, 1,000-foot pole that poof. Now, look at, and the kite doesn't show this. I recall vividly on the day of 9/11, the South Tower, the first one to fall. When it fell, it initially tipped. How the fucking pancake? What did it tip back and pancake? So everyone take a look at the South Tower when it so-called collapsed with that direct energy weapon. It tipped and to the left. And when I say the top where the so-called plane, I'm not going to get into it, wherever the explosion was, everything above that tipped to the left. And then it turned into dust. So you're going to say, symmetry on a tilt? Yeah. So it's the same fucking thing as Keith is pointing out. Not as visible as what Keith points out with the spear, much more visible. But there you go. There's a spear. Same thing. I mean, you're talking about 30 fucking, or maybe 40 stories of the top 40 stories of the towers coming down, as opposed to the North Tower, which the direct energy weapon worked better. It came down symmetrically, better appearance. And I knew so it was funny, even though it was I saw a lot. I'm not going to get into that now. The South Tower, though, no
get everybody in every psyop, they get everybody into it was the plane or it was a demolition from thermite and stuff, and then they get a Jew, Larry Silverstein, to go and say, yeah, we pulled it, and we decided to pull it, which then adds to the, oh yeah, 100% thermite. And I believe, I'm sure there was probably thermite added, but where the T-93 or whatever the hell those Jews were called, those art people or whatever the hell they were, putting bombs inside of the elevator shaft or whatever, that's exactly where the fucking plane hit. Exactly where it hit. Even the plane doesn't make sense either. It literally goes inside, like the nose comes out the other side. It makes no sense at all.
I'm just gonna say this, I've done 2 decades of research. In my opinion, without a doubt, they were CGI. I mean, a plane doesn't go through a building like Wile E. Coyote goes to a fucking mountain on Bugs Bunny. I don't mean to be funny, but it was CGI all the way.
Yes, concrete reinforced steel. It's physically impossible. Anyway, just for anyone who cares, I put up my full 9/11 thread. There's like 15 to 20 posts on there with all the evidence in the world, including the CGI claim and much more. We'll probably do a space blog at this space. I do space almost every day. I'll definitely do a 9/11 space. I'm gonna invite some of the specialists I interviewed last year. Dan Henley's accountant, and also Richard Gage as well. He's the head of the Architects and Engineers Association, so you can relitigate all this stuff. I mean, there's also another guy that went through the phone calls that were Fogies as well, so lots of evidence. But yeah, it's clearly a psyop. I've got all the evidence. It's got over 1 million views. The evidence speaks for itself, man. The evidence speaks for itself. Right close to the right time. Guys, we'll do another 10 minutes or so. Just look at this set, so discuss the FC files of 2017, Mike Jeffries' connection, late. Definitely check out the speech from the beginning. It's worthwhile. Mike Jeffries, of course, was the CEO of Battle Company, which between around 92 until 2014, and he was running a traffic operation under, of course, Sugar Daddy Les Marks, who owned the company. Jeffrey Epstein was also overseeing the operations at CNTOA and full financial authority as the trusted financial advisor to, of course, Les Marks there. Yeah, this went on for basically 2008 to 15, but I believe it's running longer. And Jeffries, of course, retired and got arrested in 2023, 2024 on 2 separate cases. The motor-based trial is now just got dementia/Alzheimer's. He may not be mentally fit to stand trial, though he's abused hundreds of boys in this case, but no one seems to care because, well, it's not girls or minorities that got abused, it's young white men. So always ignored, overlooked. But that's why I felt the need to raise this issue. Since, well, Jews are involved in some trafficking cases, whether it's Mike Jeffries or Les Marks, who was financing or Jeffrey Epstein. They'll get a lot of attention, so it's going to be the attention that it deserves.
The boys do get overlooked, unfortunately.
Nobody else. They're a bunch of gay boys, some of them, and obviously not for that lifestyle, but still, fuck, well, you find the heterosexual videos as well, so, go, beforehand, call it night, we'll go 5 out of 10, time, and we got to share our next prospects.
He's a bitch.
Happy Mess, you've got a hand up, is there anyone else?
He's a bitch.
Monarch. He was Monarch.
Someone was talking about the CGI plane going to the building. It's an interesting one because I just wanted to comment on that. When I was 11 years old, that whole thing happened, and I remember watching the video over and over. I was watching the whole thing over and over. I remember being a kid and looking at it and thinking, this is strange. It's almost like the plane is phasing through the tower. And at 11, 12 years old, I thought it looks fake. This doesn't look the way the colliding pieces of metal would act. And so for years, it was just a private thought to myself. I think that was either edited in the video or it was a projection or something was going on. And it wasn't until, now I'm 35, it wasn't until recently that I found that there's a common theory that people know, which to me is just an affirmation of my instinct. And I think, yeah, like this clearly that was a fake thing that we saw. And now that we actually have the tech to fake it better, well,
I don't know. But I do know that the driver saw that.
Professional, I found the things recreated that exact, have done the exact simulation of that flight trajectory that took place when supposedly struck the tower inside the one. And no pilot was able, no pilots ever claimed they could ever carry out that trajectory themselves. They said it was physically impossible. It's way too risky, especially due to the altitude, the speed, that's at the time. They said impossible, there's no way. That's why I have a hard time believing flights were real.
Yeah, exactly. That's and again, that's why I love I don't say about myself, but I love that I can change my mind. I was, for a while, that's my open-minded to everything. Because it's like, fucking, my grandmother was there, I was like, Tisha, other people said they saw it, but it can't be fucking Project Movie. It 100% can. I found the thing. It's up in the front of this. You fast forward to 3 minutes and 10 seconds, it shows the mystery planes, whatever the hell it shows the UFO thing I'm talking about. There's a discrepancy that pops out from when the thing comes from the right. And the second plane was, it says right here, was supposedly going 587 miles per hour. Lake True said there was a bunch of pilots that tried to reenact it or asked about it. They were all like, yeah, you couldn't direct that plane into the building like that. And again, at the angle that it's coming in, the tailspin would have sheared off and how fast it was coming in. But again, I get it. I know it sounds crazy. Do your own research, look at the thing that I'm talking about up in the nest, do whatever, look through that. I just know that they lie to us, and I know that they love to sit here and say, there's, the plane took it down, and there was planes, 100%, you're a crazy maniac, but I'm thinking there was. And again, I was on board with that, or it was, we pulled it, and Lucky Larry Silverstein says we pulled it, which just adds to it, like firefighters just walking around with a bunch of sticks of dynamite or whatever. They would have to have so much dynamite on it, and the thing that's 4 back in the nest, it shows, or 4 or 5 back in the nest, it shows, like I said, below it, what thermite actually does, and it doesn't do what the hell the building did, where it just fucking completely disappears from thin air. People are asking, right, so like, why didn't it
Greg says it would take 26 million pounds of thermite to detonate each building. 26 million pounds of thermite.
And you can put it all in Ziploc bags as powder.
So you got the EP, right? The Israeli art students who had access to the building prior to the EP. Everyone knows the EP, right? The EP had access.
Yeah, 1817, the Israeli art students.
They don't have to right also the building. They
Yeah, dude, those are crazy. No, I agree. I agree with everything you're saying. That's why I think the only thing that is a psyop, and again, we'll never know what this one is. That's why I think they say the first one that died, I think, was a Jew or Israeli or whatever, because that's just more sympathy for that. Yeah, exactly. But it's also real quick, it threw third back in the nest, because that's what I was trying to explain before. And this is something I just looked at the other day. This kid actually just responded to 2 seconds ago to the 9/11 revisiting guy just responded, because the explosions going up the windows or whatever. Firefighters carry these things that was screenshot called Scott packs, which are basically the pressurized things on their back, and that's what the explanation seems to be for all those windows that are blowing out before, like, the building pancakes on top of itself. Because, and again, there's like things inside the bathrooms or whatever. But real quick, I want to read off the thing. It's only like one paragraph. It says, "This is where it's just there's so much shit inside. Each tower had 110 floors, 1 acre each, office equipment, furniture, machinery, toilets, etc. Most of the contents of the towers were never found." So like that's what's absolutely insane. I don't know how the hell none of that is done. As you can see, the towers did not collapse in on themselves. They peeled open like bananas. That's what I was trying to explain earlier. I forgot the way that I explained it. They peeled open like bananas, which they did. They just fucking peeled open, disintegrated. So it wasn't a straight up demolition like Tower 7, which that was. They peeled open like bananas, so there was no quote pile driver, which is what we were talking about earlier. When it was thermite and it was a collapse on top of each other, it would go down like a pile driver, but it wasn't just peeled open to crush everything to dust. Parentheses, they say, which wouldn't happen anyways. The content should have just dropped to the ground where it still should have been recognizable, even if broken up into pieces, smashed up. Most of it was never recovered. Again, 50,000 toilets, 50,000 or 50,000 things, a couple 3,000, 4,000 toilets, vending machines, everything just disappeared anywhere. Why do we not see 3,000 porcelain toilets like it says? Desks, computers, vending machines, doors, staircases, catering equipment, chairs, tables, filing cabinets, etc.
saying it makes more sense now when you say that there wasn't planes. Like George was talking about, people have tried to race to simulate it. If the plane couldn't have gone in at that mile per hour and at that without the tailwind shearing off and many other things, never mind it goes through the whole thing. But I get it. Again, people don't, you don't believe me, you can open the nest, bookmark those things, and do your own research, go on that thing, because that's what I did, and then I changed my opinion on it once I saw more stuff. I said, oh yeah, shit, this actually makes a lot more sense. One thing I never thought, why won't anyone talk to Judy Wood? That's what's really wild. Like, she's literally asked so many people, like, hey, we have me on your podcast, like, so many, like, they'll have everybody else on, besides her, the only one that has said, where the fuck did the towers go? They literally just disappeared. Would you be willing to interview Judy Wood? Absolutely, yeah. Like, we should set her on. I know.